Friends, good evening to all of you. I welcome you to the day 2 of this CP meeting on tax audit and technology. Today being the important part where Saran is going to take us through the various other tools which we can use to do our audit very effectively. We had a great session yesterday where Vijay ji covered the small nuances of small things, how we could kind of automate things, and some things the time what we spend for the initial things can help us do things at a faster speed, and also to see that whatever is there within the gamut is getting covered. So we had an excellent session yesterday, and today we have our expert wizard, C.A. Saran, who yesterday when Abhishek said the most sort of person when it comes to excellent technology. So welcome you, Saran, and also joining us with us, Treasurer of SIRC of ICAI, C.A. Geeta AB ma'am, who is also having back-to-back sessions, and she has recently cleared her valuation course, for which we congratulate her. Ma'am, over to you, where you can share your thoughts and we take things forward. Geeta ma'am, you have to unmute yourself.
Hello, I'm audible, sir?
Yes, audible.
Yeah. Happy evening to all present here, virtually present here. I take this opportunity for thanking our SIRC Chairman, C.A. Jain, and our Secretary, Abhishek, for giving me this opportunity to address this CPE meet. The unstoppable march of information technology has a significant impact on the conventional practices of audit. So nevertheless, significant improvements and advancements are profoundly transforming the auditing industry and profession. So the advent of artificial intelligence and robotics has automated the complex and repetitive tasks. So this has undoubtedly posed a threat to the audit domain, and yet this challenge shoulders the responsibility on us to transit our roles from process center practitioner to a critical strategic partner. So the dependence on technology has increased like never before on the period of this new normal. Undoubtedly, with the tax audits so soon approaching, it is high time that we become updated with the recent technological tools that can enable us to discharge our professional duties effortlessly. So needless to mention here, this journey will be a cakewalk when we have mentors like CA Saran Kumar, commanding expertise in the technology domain to share their valuable inputs. So I'm sure all our viewers will be benefited out of this session today. So wishing all the participants a very great session ahead. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Geeta ji, for giving a nice prelude. And for everybody's benefit, the links we have shared for the materials, which is the same as we have given yesterday. And today's working files will be shared after the session is over. Saran has told that the working files, whatever is doing, the same file will be sharing for you to rework tomorrow or later when you want to work. Before I ask the speaker to speak and take things forward, I request the Abhishek Murli to formally introduce the speaker.
Thank you, Chairman. Very good evening to all the viewers who have joined in today. A very good evening to our dynamic chairman, C.A. Dungarchand Jain, our resourceful treasurer, C.A. Geeta, who gave a very lovely opening address. And as she rightly said, the march of technology is now upon us, and it is gaining very, very rapidly. Gone are the days, as she rightly said, and as chairman also touched upon it yesterday. Gone are the days where you take a checklist-based approach. Earlier, we used to get a checklist, you check, okay, A, B, C, D, have we finished? Those days are gone, because be it the income tax department, be it the ROC, be it the MCA, whoever these people are, they are now coming together. They've all come into an agreement. You might have read GST and income tax have come into agreement. SEBI and income tax have come to an agreement for sharing of information. And now the department has so much data in hand that they don't know what to do with it, that they are using these tools. They're using tools like artificial intelligence, data mining, data analytics to pull out information about your assessee and your clients. So that also means we also as chartered accountants should do that. We should also do that. And we are blessed this year, really, I must say, to have a chairman who's a technology man. And he encourages, whenever we think of technology related programs, He is someone who's so enthusiastic, and he always says we have to empower our members with that. We have to change the style of thinking. We have to usher in technology, and the right person to do that on this topic today is Saran Kumar. As chairman said, and as I also mentioned yesterday, his program on bank audit using Excel during the bank audit was one of the most viewed programs in all of South India for professionals. So that's the sort of authority that Saran is. And I now have the privilege of introducing Saran. He's qualified as a chartered accountant in the year 2010, completed his diploma in information systems audit from ICAI, a certificate holder in forensic accounting and fraud detection, and also has completed the course on concurrent audit. He has worked with Microsoft, Credit Suisse Bank for more than 4 years, and presently is a managing partner of his own firm. His specialization includes data analytics, forensic audits, transaction audits under IBC, automation of financial processes, reconciliation, etc. Having more than 10 years experience in handling data analytical tools like MS Excel, etc., he has been a regular faculty, be at the ICAI or various professional bodies, including CMAI, NASEN, and many more. And his expertise lies in MS Excel, audit under the CBS environment, and using Excel as a bank audit tool. So today is another tip as to how us chartered accountants can empower ourselves using a basic tool like Excel, but understanding the in-depth opportunities that are present with it. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, C.A. Saran Kumar sir. We are all looking forward to your presentation.
Sure, you can unmute yourself and take things forward. Yeah, now you're audible, Sharan. Yes.
Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Yeah, because there was some little technical issues, so I could not hear the last words of Abhishek. Generally, when Abhishek started speaking, we all would like to listen even minutes and minutes, hours and hours. Thank you so much, DC sir, again for the opportunity and SIRC. Thank you, Geeta ma'am. I think this is the first session where you are there, where I'm when it comes to technology, I'm a baby. I even learn every time to learn things. So today, when DCs are asking me for a session on the tax audit, initially I was a little scared because when you look into the bank audit, 100 on the tax audit, Excel on. And seminar how tax happen. When sir asked on tax audit with respect to Excel and tool,
Sharan, I think there is some disturbance, Sharan. Sharan, your voice is distorting actually. We are not getting a clear audio. Maybe if you need to reconnect your net connection or something.
It seems his bandwidth is low.
Okay.
We will try switching off our video also in exactly a few
I think
seconds.
we'll do that. That will give you more bandwidth. Yes.
No, either he can reconnect or
Sharan, can you just speak now?
yeah, is it okay now, sir?
Now it is fine. Yes, it is fine, Sharan.
Great. Okay, so sir, if I'm just keeping the output mute very low, so that if you would like to tell me anything, you can put in the chat box maybe a little later. Okay, in between. So I'm directly jumping into the session. Let me share my screen. Let me share the screen. Okay, friends, these are all files I'll be sharing you after the session. In fact, I generally don't share before the session because answers may not be there. During the session, when I go step by step, even those all workings will be there in the file so that later you can easily understand. That's what my point. Now let me just open my PPT. As you all know, my PPT generally don't have so many colorful slides. It's having a maximum 3 to 4 slides. So in today's session, I'm going to talk on the tools, overview for tax audit. We know the most of the times we use Excel, and in Excel there are so many inbuilt tools. I'm going to talk about those tools and what are the required skills which are required to do the tax audit. In fact, I'm not going into the more technical aspect of the tax audit with respect to the sections and inside the sections, the interpretations and so on. In fact, I'm not the right person. There are best faculties who are already there and they might have spoken in the previous sessions. My session is limited to taking you into the each class or maybe the classes where analysis is required, and I'll be helping you using these tools to make your work easy. So what are the scope using the tools? So though there are 44 different classes are there in 3CD, and maybe we are going to look into the analysis part only for 5 classes or maybe 10 classes. I have made a detailed Excel file where we can see one after other. And most of the time out of next 3 hours, I'll be taking out of the 3 hours time, 45 minutes to 1 hour, conversion of our day book, especially from the tally. If you are taking something even from the ERP also fine, because procedure is same, but since the tally day book you cannot get through ODBC, even very few TDLs are available which can, is my audio okay, sir?
Yes, Sharan,
Yeah,
perfect.
it is fine.
Perfect.
It is fine. It is fine, Sharan.
Great, thank you. So since there are no more TDLs with respect to extracting the daybook on which we need to do the analysis, so I found one methodology. Maybe you can adopt the methodology if you like it, or else if you can add something to that so that you can make your analysis better. So in Excel, I'm going to touch upon the pivot table and Power Query. Friends, I'm going to talk about Power Query at least 1/3 of the today's session. It may be new to you, but don't worry. It is much more simpler than your traditional Excel, because in traditional Excel, if you want to do some task, you need to write so many formulas and functions. But in the Power Query, it's more of a drag and drop or maybe clickable buttons. So you will get to know what exactly it is. Maybe the advanced filter, and we may use couple of functions, VLOOKUP function, concatenate or concat function, Sumif or Sumif's function, especially when we talk about 40A3 and 269ST, 269SS, and so on. And the last part is the Power Query. Is again one more thing I have taken, because inside the Power Query, I'll be using a couple of concepts like merging. And anyway, we are going to take the tally. So traditional export of daybook, how to export the Excel ODBC if at all required, usage of TDL if any necessary. Okay, so I think the same slide got repeated. Yeah. Friends, I feel for any analysis, leave about tax audit, for any audit, this is the thing which is very much required if I put into a step-by-step methodology. First, we need to clean up the data for the analysis. That means when you export the tally daybook, that's not into very nice format. In fact, if you look into the tally Excel file, when it opens, it's having so many colors and it's having so many merged cells and a lot of things are there. When the data is not clean, when the data is not good for the analysis, you cannot go ahead and even analyze one single class in the tax audit. So my majority of today's session is how to clean up the daybook. Then once you clean up the daybook, because if you have a client where only 200 transactions are there in the daybook, probably your staff can spend 2 days time looking into each and every entry. I'm sure the entire tax audit is over. Understand the situation when there is a trading company or manufacturing company where they are using the tally or SAP or any ERP. If their transactions throughout the year are 15,000, if that is the case, it's very difficult for us even to take the sampling out of it. So I'll be introducing you a concept of the merging in the Power Query, which help you to join two tables together. Traditional way of doing this is using a VLOOKUP function, but today most of the time we'll say bye-bye to VLOOKUP function, and will take you into the new era that is the merging concept in the PowerPoint and filtering the data for validations. For example, I want to look into the 48.3 related. So I should look into the cash part. So out of the entire day book, I need to filter the cash related part. Then extraction of data for the documentation, because let's say I analyzed 20 vouchers. So these all 20 vouchers, I should be in a position to extract separately because I need to document it. And finally, we need to report into the 3CD. So we are going to use Benford law, relative size factor, and one of the very important aspect is fuzzy lookup, because generally when the accountants or management want to mess up the data, they don't want either the income tax department or the auditor should look into. For example, they are paying for the same person. Today they paid almost 10 times, that entirely crossed more than 40,000. But they make a transaction with different names. They can take one entry as a Saran Kumar, they can take another entry as a Kumar Saran. How smart the fuzzy lookup can catch both the Saran Kumar and Kumar Saran and tell you on the screen that Mr. Sharan, these both are looking similar. Can you look into the same? Okay, that is what the concept will be looking into. So because we need to even develop the documentation, we will see how to make a Google form because especially in this COVID time, our staff are working from home, and every time to coordinate with them through the traditional methods like email or maybe phone call or physical, it's very difficult. So probably you can make a nice Google form, they can start filling the data and you can get into your Google spreadsheet. But people may not be comfortable with the Google spreadsheet. So what we can simply do, we can connect the Google spreadsheet to our Excel, so that whenever your staff enter something, you can simply refresh the data and you are in a position to get what exactly your staff has updated into the Google form. That we are going to look, and these all are different filters we are going to see in today's session. I'm just trying to go into one Excel sheet I have prepared. I'm sure this may be very much helpful to you. I started looking into wherever you're finding the green color, very light green color means the analysis part in this particular class is very less. Wherever you find a very thick green color, that means the analysis part is very more. Okay, so I started looking into, I started keeping everything into one Excel file. This is basically the 3CD form where we are going to fill up and we'll certify, of course. So part A of the 3CD form is very simple. It's having 8 basic details. Even just student also can start working on this. Friends, but every time filling this information, if you are using Winman software or anything, that automatically takes from the previous year. So that's fine. If you get a new client, it's going to be again very difficult. You need to fill the details. So I have prepared one format because the 8 classes where there is no much text you are going to keep it, or no much numbers you're going to keep. It is a very basic information. Maybe you can update this data so that whenever it is required, my part of almost 10% of my entire form will get filled easily. Because I've seen many even chartered accountants use the offline utility. In fact, in my office, some of the files we even use offline utility. If that is the case, the data may not come from the previous years. If that is the case, I can simply copy this data and paste into the form, whatever the 3CD part A. So for which I have just taken this. And I'm going to ask one more question while I'm trying to analyze this entire tax audit. When we generally download the tax audit form, let me download in a very fresh. I just want to know what are the things people look into the software. So this is what the other forms preparation software. I'll just go into the 3CB, 3CD. Let me click this. We get download. Of course, it downloads into the zip file. Open this, or else let me just close this. I'm just going into my downloads. I make today's session very slow. Okay, don't worry. Every step what I am doing, you must be in a position to understand. That's what my target. Okay. So in which I am going to just double click this batch file. So it's going to open the Java utilities. You are going to fill the entire data here, and you will close it. You will save the XML. There ends the matter. we don't even look into what other files are there in this utility. Probably you may reverse question that, Sharon, why it is required for us? Maybe it is required because your clarity with respect to filling the application, because whether you take offline for Winman or whatever it is, they are bound to use the schemas which are kept in the forms of 3CB and 3CD by the government of India, that is Income Tax Department. So you should have a little idea before going into that. Keeping that in the mind, I'm just going into this form. I don't know how many of you went into this form. Along with this, there is one more folder called form. Now, generally, this is a habit for me. When I start looking into any of the folder, I generally look into nook and corner of the folder. This is the same approach is required for forensic audits or even transaction audits, because you should not just stop when you find, once you find one file, then you should little go in depth of the file and you should identify. Then it has, they said 1415. Okay, this schema is still continuing from 1415. Second, when it is continuing from 1415, where is the place I can find okay, the changes? So this is the first thing I request you to look into. When you want to look into the changes, what is happening, I kept this here. You can find the schema changes. This is the one which even generally I look for ITR1, ITR2 and so on. Along with your ITRs, other forms also, they just give every time when there is a change, they'll give you a reason why there is a change and at what sections there is a change and so on. If you check it out, from 2014, they are still continuing this form. And many times the form got changed, almost till now 18 times. In this year itself, 2 times the form got changed. Error, bookmark. Okay, this is something I think they did this in the Word document. So bookmark they did not properly maintain. It's okay. So recently, 16th July, there was a change. So you can just go to that, whatever the changes, so that you can understand extra fields, what they are keeping, so that we'll be ready for the form, so that we'll ready with the information to be kept into the form and so on. So this is one document I feel you need to before every year, before starting any audit, so that give you some glance the new changes from last year to current year. The advantage of this form is when you find, see, even I look into the same, when though I'm not a regular practitioner on GST and income tax related, but I always look into when there is a new section, we need to understand what is an objective of the section. I'm sure Government of India introduced a section either to mitigate the earlier litigation related, or maybe something earlier, some clause which is harm to the revenue to the government. Maybe to overcome that, they are introducing one more section. But of course, many a times when they introduce a section that gives a lot of confusion and clarity, that's a different story. So in the same way, when they introduce some field, immediately our mind should go towards, okay, they kept this year the PAN number of the particular person. Why this is required? Probably they are going to track this because this entire data is going to store after all into a structured format. Today you will see exactly how to use with the ETL tools. As a chartered account, small chartered accountant like me, if I can use a ETL tool, you can understand the government in how great way they are going to use the ETL tools. So if you enter a PAN number, at the back end, once you fill, they'll not take manually, they'll just link this column of the PAN with some other form through which they want to get some analysis. Okay, so you can have a glance of this. I'm not going in detail what it is. It's more of giving the information what changes are happening every time. Okay, this is one form I want you should look every time before you go inside. Now let me go to the 3CB form. This is what I was telling about. Now let me go a little in depth. Now these all are, you need not to bother. These all are just how your form has to look like. See, you can find all these images in your form. So this is waste of the time. These all are the scripts will happen when you are trying to load the form. Even this is a waste of a time. Now let us go a little inside. From 2014, every time it is trying to update the signature file and SICAI file, where it's going to store the information about from where it is uploading and all other digital signature related information. And I'm more interested in this to know, one second. Yeah. So let me just right click You can open this file, you can click open with, you can open this file either with a notepad or edit notepad, because I find many a times, including our staff, they get so many errors. So from where the errors are there, everything at the back end got identified. So for your easy understanding, in fact, you can find the same under the property. For easy accessibility, what I have done in this Excel file, I kept all the errors. You know, your form of 3CB, 3CD, when you submit, if something is not correct, at the back end, 986 validations are there. Maybe some of the validations you can just filter for required, you can ignore. So 710 are there. You can even ignore some of the filters like length. So remaining all, you can understand maybe there is something very much required with respect to the analysis part also. Okay, so you can have a glance of this. This is one file I feel most important. Whenever you have a free time, or maybe your staff also can have a glance, I'm 100% sure whatever the error you are going to get in the form, you can just come here, filter it, so that you can simply go there, what exactly the one it is creating a problem. I kept properly with the levels in the form, what is the level, what is the next level, so that see IV. So if you don't select this I or V, first drop down we have it, whether we as a chartered accountant firm are examining or I as a person examining. So we select it, that is there is an error and so on. So this is one file I feel very important. Let me save it and close it. So that is fine with respect to the backend files, what you need to look for. Now let us look into the 3CD part. So I started keeping entire information into Excel and see, look into the partners profit sharing ratio. This is something where we need to look into the document. Maybe if there is a partnership change is there, supplementary deed or whatever it is, or else probably you can look into the partners account on the last entry when they post, or maybe something in between if they take the salary or whatever it is. You can just look into, is there an extra capital he kept because of this? Is there any sharing happened? Or else maybe entry, you can look into that, whether they consider that entry as a loan from the partner or maybe capital from the partner. If it is capital from the partner, is there anywhere it got changed? Why I have not highlighted this with any of the color? Because in this analysis is more of with the documentation, not with the tool. Okay. In case of change, you need to provide the information. Then 10A is more of nature of the business or profession. How can you find, okay, client always say that, sir, there is no nature, there is no change in the nature. But how can you identify that there is a nature in the business? There is a change in the nature of the business. It's very simple. If you ask me, probably I can look into the credits. If, let's say last year, there are only 2 masters with respect to the income. Now there are 5 masters with respect to the income. If those are 5 masters, I need to ask why extra there are 3 masters, because when the product is not changing, process is not changing, anything, probably they may say offline, or you can look into the transactions invoice and so on. Okay, that may be coming from a different source. Person who is doing a interior designing just venture into a real estate. So if you find anything relating to real estate or construction, probably I feel that is nature of a business change and so on. So these all parts are just simply going through. It's not very much required. I'll just analyze these things. If P&L includes the profit from presumptive business, so we can just look into the P&L ledger and we can have a look. And capital, I'll go into after the daybook analysis. This is just a glance. Capital asset conversion into the stock in trade. So what I'm trying to do, if we can keep all the books what we maintain, maybe if I look into the fixed asset register, what all other clauses are affecting to this? I found 4 items where directly linked to the fixed asset register. When there is a capital asset conversion to the stock in trade, we can see, are there any credits in the fixed asset ledger? Then you can look into the same, what exactly that entry, is it because of the sale or is it because of the stock in trade and so on, or else land and building transfer for the consideration. You can look into this class when there is a land and building. So when there is a transfer. So first look into the FAR or maybe the fixed asset register or ledger.
then you check it out. First of all, is there anything transferred in the previous year? If yes, then probably this clause will come. Otherwise, you can simply ignore. So this is probably a checklist you can have maybe in the Excel itself. Looking into the FAR, all the clauses you just tick. In the same way, the employees ledger. If I look into the employee ledger, there are a couple of clauses I found in the 3CD. Some paid to employee as bonus or commission instead of profits or dividend. Okay. So I can simply filter for in this ledger keywords, is there any bonus or is there any commission? If that is the case, then I can simply look into, is it fitting into the class 20? Then I can simply make a note. So documentation, if you ask me, even in the bank audit, I tell the same thing. There is no standard methodology that this is the way you need to maintain the document. Document has to happen with our process. How we go ahead with our tax audit, in the same way, document has to prepare during our audit. It's not something where you need to prepare very upfront and you are just doing an audit. Maybe checklist you can have. Then when you are looking ticket, whether it is falling into this or not. Maybe the contribution received from employees for various funds. Is the contribution from the salary getting deducted? If yes, you can just put the filter under the salary. Oh, sorry, is there any credits in the salary ledger? If yes, just check it out. Is it falling into the class 21? In this case, not much of the analysis part, but maybe with a simple filter, you can do it. So that's the reason I did not keep much into the color. Remaining all parts is exactly the same. Okay. So I kept this entire part separate because this entirely is more of reporting. We will be concentrating more from 31 class because in 31 class, because 31 class is more of talking about the 269 ST, SS and T sections. So we will be doing a lot of analysis in this, because for which you need to have a entire daybook in hand, then you need to put the filters in different combinations. Remaining all are more of again reporting in the nature. So if you ask me, maybe out of my entire tax audit where my concentration is more required, my analysis is very much required for 10 to 15 things maximum. For all remaining things, based on our experience, based on the documentation part. Okay. So let me go and look into one daybook. Now let us look into the challenges of the daybook. Then I go into the tally data. Let me open this daybook. I downloaded this for make it easy. If not, okay, there is something daybook here. We have this generally comes in this format. Otherwise, let me just save this just for the understanding quickly. Whoever new to how to download the daybook. I'm not going to use any TDL here. It's going to be simple Excel, but still with Excel, you can do a lot of things. Now let me select the company. Now let me change my path. I want to take a path of this, Control C, enter. There's a company called Saran, Kumar and LLP. Now you can go to the display. You can download the trial balance. You can download the daybook. Friends, again, whatever the great work we are going to do, that entirely is possible, first of all, if you have the data. If in the daybook nothing is available, people are not entering the narration, people are not putting any other information relating to check, just debit, credit and ledger names are there, then it's very difficult for us even to do a lot of analysis towards that. So obviously how much great data is inside, that much great reporting you can have. So it's March of 20. So let this data open. So you can export this data. You can simply export this. You can click export. And generally, I keep everything yes, though it takes a lot of time. Okay, so let's take this. Let me take outside of this. I'll try to download the data. Let's do Control C and let me do Control V. Now daybook. You can say S. You can say as. Do you want any coloring? Okay, you keep it as. It has to open. If I want detailed, because when it comes to the inventory or other related information I want to have, then do you want to have a voucher numbers? Yes, narrations, in fact, very much required. But in this file, which I have taken from one of very close to my client, the accountant has not even given any narrations. So let this file open. It takes a lot of time. So what I'll do, I'll just stop it, because I've already downloaded this file for you, because more than 4,000 transactions are there. So what I'll be doing, I'll simply take the data Let's say the file got downloaded. Now let's go to the tally data. Let's go to daybook. Let me paste this daybook here. Now let me open it. Now you can understand we cannot find anything out of this. That's what I'm feeling. But I can say that is wrong by using a couple of tools. You can do a lot of things. Now I need to do the cleanup activities because until you have a daybook end to end with all the vouchers, there's no meaning of going ahead for the analysis part. So let me look into the daybook. So this is not required. So I always keep one more extra sheet here. Now let me save this file. It's already saved as a daybook. Everyone please concentrate. I'll go very slow because this part is very important. Once you are done with this part, then filtering, you are the master. You can do it. Now this is procedure part of the daybook. Now let me delete this, and this is also not required. This is a filter. Now I'm just going to select everything. I don't want any color, so no color. Then let this be as it is. Even let the color be there. I'll tell you how to remove and when to remove. Now let me have a filter till the end. So how to go to the end? Go here, control. I just went into the first cell. Control home is the short end, so that it will take you to the last used cell. So I can have a filter. I'm just going into the data. I can simply click a filter, right? So let's go here. Now, what I want is other than date, other than blanks, if anything is there, I want to delete that. Yes or no? Now I'll simply select. Let's go here. I want everything to be selected other than dates and other than blanks also. I'll tell you why is other than blanks. Now this entirely is the chunk data. Just for our understanding, you just check it out. Everywhere it is blanks. So check it out. So that means I'm 100% sure my data is safe except this chunk data. Remove this. I just removed the filter. You can just click clear the filter. Now this is the date column. Now, when I select the date column, when I'm trying to just select it, control space, by default, it is selecting for 2 columns. That means there are merged cell in this. What I'm going to do, I'll do control F. I can go to the options. Now let me clear. As of now, it is not having any format because merge is a format. I'm just going into the format here. Let's go to the alignment. Click this merged. Let me click OK. This is a very useful technique. So find all. Generally, people are having a habit of doing control F and enter. Click find all. So it's trying to look into these 2 columns. How many mergers? There are so many. Control A. Control A is the shortcut to select all. So once you do control A, everything got selected at the back end. Now what I can simply do, I can just go here. I can just click merge center. That means I'm unmerging the cells so that I can do some work with respect to the data. Wonderful. Yeah, done. Now, friends, I don't believe the vouchers based on what they have taken because this is just the document related. I need to look into the same. And if you look into the vouchers here, even there is no sequence, proper sequence. One is getting repeated and so on. So what I'm going to do, maybe for the journal, 1 is there. This is a payment 1, journal 2, and so on. This may be helpful. What I can do, this is type serial number. Okay. Now here I'm going to keep one more column because when you have the data, first we need to identify how many unique transactions are there. This is okay. This is also unique. Journal 1, journal 2 is also unique, but it is depending on 2 columns. Now what I'll be doing, I'll use a small if function. Everyone please concentrate. I hope you are following me. I am trying to make my daybook in such a way so that I can use the filters which are relating to my tax audit. So first activity which I'm making my daybook clean. So I'm using a simple if function. If you look into the logic here, wherever there is a date, that means it's a new account. Yes or no? That means it's a new transaction. Wherever there is a blank, what is the meaning of it? Existing transaction is continuing. Even I stretched the same point. When I was talking about the bank audit, we did the same type of things. Now equal to if. I'm going to ask a very simple question. Cross check, is it greater than 1? That means generally date is a number. So this serial number is around 40,000 plus. So if this is greater than 1, that means I'm sure this is a date. If it is a date, then what I want above transaction plus 1. That means new transaction is happening. If it is not 1, if it is not date, then I'll simply put above transaction. That means if it is date, that means new transaction is happening, above transaction number plus 1. If it is not a date, that means it's a blank, simply take the above transaction. In this case, since my date is greater than 1, above cell is having nothing. Nothing plus 1 is 1. So I'll get 1 as an answer. If I copy this, go to the end, come here. So Control Shift F, Control V. See, you got the serial numbers. If you check it out, oh, I think now it is, when I just check it out, if this L is greater than 1, if it is greater than 1, 1 second, I think it went the other way around. Just give me 1 second. So this is 3. Oops, this is having something. That's the problem here. Okay, what I'll do, I'll just simply go here. Now let me just clean this first. Okay, you can simply go here. Generally to clean, this is the place I follow because we don't know how many different type of non-printable characters here. I'll simply click clean, clear the formats. Okay, and also you can make it clear all so that nothing must be there. Now check it out. Everything is 1 because earlier there was something, some number or non-printable character, it is taking that error as a greater than 1. Now if you check it out, this is my voucher number 1 properly, this is my voucher number 2 and so on. So I can call it as a document number. Okay, or else, sorry, let me copy this because I refer to this cell, so I cannot change here. Control C, paste special as a values, so that for every transaction I have given some number. Now let me make this as a doc number. That means transaction number. Okay. Now friends, very important task I'm going to see here. If you look into the debit or credit, if any transaction happens, one logical thing I can say, if something is blank here in the debit, that means there must be a value into the credit. Let's say even credit is also blank. That means this is not a transaction at all. Probably that may be a narration. As I told you in this case, this is a narration, but user kept narrations at very few places. Okay. For the time being, I'm deleting this entire chunk data. Okay. But when you have the data with respect to narration, you can keep it. And also I found even very few check numbers and dates are also there. So I'm just simply deleting this. So what I have done, I went into my debit, except the numbers, I've taken all the blanks. Here also I've taken all the blanks. If debit and credit both are blanks, that must be ideally a narration. But narrations I found very few. But if you find more narrations, you can keep it. Otherwise, I can simply select this entire data. Now let me do control minus. As you know, control minus is to delete entire rows. So I'm just cleaning up entire daybook. Let this data be. We are almost done. Okay. So let me take this. Now what I want to do, this date even required here, this date even required here and so on, because these both are belongs to the same transaction. So what I'll be doing, I'll just make a filter again, right? Now let me select here the blanks. Okay. Once I select the blanks, let me select these blanks. I'm sorry. Let me select all these blanks. Okay. Once you select the blanks, either you can right click or else you can put a file, you can go to special, you can select the blanks or else you can select the visible cells. Anyway, these all are the blank cells. Otherwise, to select the visible cells, we do have a shortcut. Okay, Alt column. So I went into the first cell. So what I want here, I want the above cell value to be pasted below, equal to B2, because B2 is having a date. I want to paste the same, right? So let me just Control Enter. Do you know Control Enter shortcut is basically to fill the same formula everywhere. Wonderful. So my date, if I refilter, if I clear the filter, my date appear everywhere. Don't worry about the formatting. We will change the format little later. Okay. Now this is fine. Now I got debit and credit. Now for the time being, let me delete all these columns, because I know in this data, there are no other transactions or other reference numbers or anything with respect to the inventory and so on. So I'm just simply deleting that. This is the type. This is the type serial number. This is the debit and this is the credit. Now what I'll do, I want even this type also should paste below. So what I'm going to do, select this entire column from here, select this entire column. Now you know the process. F5, special. I want to select the blank cells. Oops, there are no blank cells, because if you just double click, there may be some extra cell is there. So just to identify whether it's a blank cell or not, is blank. I'm just trying to tell you the tally data, how problem it is. Is it blank? False. It's not a blank. So what I'll be doing, I'll just select the entire data. No problem. Let me filter otherwise for the blanks. Let me go to the end. It's a blank. So even check it out here in the serial number. This is also blank. Let me select these two. Okay. Select the visible cells. I told you how to select the visible cells already. You can either use a shortcut or else you can go to the F5 on visible cells. I'll go to clear. I can click clear all. It clears everything, including your format, comments, contents, hyperlinks, anything which is there in the cell. Delete. Now, these all are the blank cells. Now, what I'll do, in the same way, I will select all these cells. Let me go to the first cell. Let me select it. Now, equal to, I want to get the above cell data. Okay, equal to D2. So if I take D2, it will paste here. Because I'm moving towards the right side, E2 will come here. If what value will come here, it's a D4, it's a E4, and so on. Control plus Enter. So it has just pasted the data below. Yeah, let this be, no problem. In some of the cases, still the 2 is not there. It seems there is some extra data here. Now let me select the blanks. Let me do the same activity here. See, if you observe, some of the blanks are not there. So let me select this. Let me clear all. Now these all are the blanks now. Now I'll do the same task. I'll just go here. Yeah, it just taken everything properly. But let me do it again once more. F5, special. I can go for blanks. Now let me take the above cell value. So that exactly the same you're going to get. This looks little odd because the formatting is not great. So I think my job is over. Now what I'll be doing, I'll copy this. I'll take here. This is what my final data in which we are going to do the analysis. Paste special values. Perfect. Now this is what my titles. You can have debit, you can have credit. Since I paste special values, even this DR, CR, nothing is appearing. Now this is the daybook. Maybe even from the SAP, if you download, because I do remember in the SAP there are jet codes where customized T codes are there. You can download the entire daybook with all the transactions. If you download it, this is the way it appears. But the problem with this tally related is, in this case, we don't have any other information, but in the SAP related or maybe in other ERP, if we properly configure, you have the tree of the accounting where you have from the balance sheet, then balance sheet code, then second grouping and so on. In fact, here also, if we want, we can connect it. Now let me take this as a date, and this is a journal type serial number. Now let me make it net equal to debit must be positive minus this. Now I can simply copy this. Now let me paste here. This must be ideally 0. See, obviously it's a 0. And if you look into the totals, equal to sum of this, obviously sum of this must be same. Okay, this is what my final data. Now, how many transactions are there in my daybook? 34885. Let me cross check whether it is correct or wrong. Okay, let's go to the daybook. Let's go here. Now, let me go to F2. Let's go to April 19 till 31st March. I'm 100% sure my daybook is exactly having those many transactions. 3456 plus maybe another 20 items here. So total put together 3485 transactions are there with a debit and credit. Now we are going to work on this data. Okay, friends, next half an hour, I'll be using a concept called Power Query. Let me give you a little intro. Friends, this is what the GL master. Okay, now also let me copy this because these all are the masters which I have used in the GLs. Let me paste special as a value here. Now this is nothing but the ledger master. Ledger master. Let me select this data. Let's go to data, remove the duplicates. So throughout the year, this company or this firm used 207 ledgers in one or other journal entry, or maybe the payments entry, or receipts entry, or sales, or purchases. This is also required for us later for the analysis. So ledger list. Okay. Now let me hide this. This is not required. I'm keeping this as a procedure for you. And this is a raw data. I am not touching this so that you can analyze later when I send this file. Now, friends, this is the net. Let me introduce you a small concept called Etl Tool. Everyone, please concentrate maybe for 10 minutes. Once I cover the Etl, then you can understand how great your Excel tool Power Query help you a lot. Okay, so Etl is basically, it can extract the data from any source. It can be XML, it can be JSON, it can be Java, it can be PDF, it can be Excel, it can be even the data which is already there in your Excel and so on. Even if the data is in the SQL database also I can extract. Once you extract, you can transform the data. That means I can do whatever the transformation I want. In fact, I did this transformation in the Excel, right? This entire transformation can be done even into my Power Query. Then I can load the data back into my Excel. So this is from any source. Okay. Transformation almost ways using Excel. So in Excel, how you can do the transformation? Almost the ways you can do it. In fact, much more advanced M formulas are there. And you can load the data back for analysis. That means your data is here, which is very clumsy. I'll extract the data. I can transform into the Power Query tool. I can load the data back into my Excel. Why I'm using the Power Query here? Because I don't want to filter it again and again for the samples because I want to make it documentation. So what I'll be doing, I will just take one sample, one place, and I'll write a JL. Once I refresh the data, I want everything to be pasted along with my ledgers so that I can start analyzing the data. Now, this is just a very basic concept of ETL. Even this is not required for the time being. Let me hide this. Okay. Where you can have pivot Power Query, you can have in the data, get and transform data. Friends, whoever using 2010 version or 2013 version, that may not be the part directly as per your Excel. That may not be part of your native Excel. You need to download and add in. If you are using 2016 version onwards, this is part of your Excel. Okay. So assuming people are having a Power Query, so I'm just trying to give you and show you the power of ETL tools. We, as small chartered accountants, can have one Excel tool where Power Query is inbuilt. You can understand in how much great way the government are using the ETL tools, because in market hundreds of ETL tools are there. That includes the Power Query where data visualization can happen in Power BI, and Tableau is there, one of the ETL tool. SAS is there, one of the ETL tool, and a lot of tools are there where you can get the information directly from the SAP using the SQL. You can do the transformation, you can prepare whatever the reports you want, and you can prepare even the documentation. Now, we directly do an analysis here, Sharon. That's possible. But every time I need to, the problem here is I need to first, let's say I want to do some analysis with respect to cash. So when I take a cash, but only with one leg, I cannot do anything. For each item of the document, I have to extract again. I hope everyone are getting the point here, because there's only one leg. So I want this fourth transaction, all the legs. That means all the line items. But that is the problem here. So again, I need to do VLOOKUP function. I have to extract this data, and a lot of stuff I need to do with the traditional Excel. Please concentrate. I'll go little slow because this is almost new for most of the members who are participants. So concentrate. Now I'm just going to the get data. If you want to get any data, okay, any of the sources, you can get it. But in the present case, my data is already here. So let me select this data. Okay, I have selected this data. You can use the other source from the table. This icon is already here. Either you can directly click it, or else you can use the other sources from the table or range. Now it has just selected and confirming me, Saran, is it the table? Yes. Is your table having headers? It identified automatically. Yes. Once I click OK, first it will convert into the table format. It will take this data into my Power Query editor. At the back end, again, don't worry, though it's a new screen for you, it is very simple to understand. This is one of the window the Excel having inbuilt. Excel is having 3 inbuilt windows inside. One is Power Query Editor, the other one is Visual Basic Editor, the other one is Power Pivot Editor. This is a Power Query Editor. Okay, so this is table 1. I want to change the name of this query GL. The advantage of using the Power Query is whatever the steps you do, all the steps will be recorded here. Okay, so this must be the date. Let me go to data type. I want to make it as a date. Now replace the current. Yes. Now this must be the document. Let me delete this. Now this is the date. If you want, you can do this transformation. Otherwise, even you can ignore also. For our today analysis, it is fine. This is a whole number, and remaining all are fine. Last 3 from here, I want to select till here. These all are the whole numbers. When you take whole number, the decimals will disappear. Otherwise, if you want to be more accurate, you can take it as a decimal number so that even percentages will come. Okay. Now, I told you this is the place where transformation is happening. I can load back into my Excel for the analysis. But Saran, this data is already there in my Excel. Why I need to get this data back? Yes, that's the reason. I'll only create as a connection so that this table can be used for the other tables later, for the linking up, for the looking up, and so on. Add this data into the data model. Let me just click OK. Now this data is getting loaded in the backend. 12,246 rows loaded. Though the entries are 3485, every transaction need not to have just debit and credit. Maybe some of the transaction, if you look into the third entry, it's having almost 5 legs inside. If you look into some other transaction, many places you can find 9. Transaction number 9 is having 4 entries inside. Okay, now let me take this one here. Okay, I'll just take, because I'm going to work as a sample. Now I want to take it as a sample GL. Now this is a sample GL is the head. Now which GL you want to do the analysis? Let's take the cash. Okay. Now I want this data also to take into my Power Query. What I need to do, since we already know the steps, go to the data tab, go to the Power Query and click this get create a table. And once I click this, that small data also there at the backend. If you see sample data cache. Now let me change the table name as a sample GL. Okay. Now, even I don't want to get this data into my Excel, just close and load to the connection, add this data into the data model. That's all. Now, let us look into the important part of this. Now I'll go back to my Power Query. Let me double click any of this so that you are going back. At the Power Query at the backend, there are two things. Now what I want, these are all my daybook, and this is a specific GL on which I want to do the analysis. If I want to do the analysis, yeah, seems there is a question from a participant. Okay, let me just close this. Let me delete this Power Query. So I'm going to explain again. I found some question. I read it very fast. Seems he's asking me to explain again the Power Query. Let me close it. Let me keep the changes. Yeah, let me close it. Friends, whatever the analysis I'll be doing the analysis based on this daybook. Is it correct or wrong? First of all, yes, this is correct. So whenever I take a cash, I want the cash related ledger must come. But unfortunately, if you filter the cash, right, only cash related ledger is coming out. But with respect to the cash, the entry also should come out. That's what my target. So what I'll be doing, I'm just taking first of all this entire data into my Power Query. How to take it? First, let me change the table, this table as a GL. Okay. Or else this I can take it as a daybook. Why should I take it as a GL? Let's take the heading as a daybook, and here also let me take it as a daybook. Okay. Now let me take this data into my Power Query first. Whoever asked the question, for you I'm explaining again. Have a look. So I'm just going here. So the entire data loaded here. This is basically you want to tell to the Power Query each data is what. This must be the number. So go on, change it as a whole number. This must be the date. Go on, tell to the Power Query that this is a date, and this must be the journal type. This is okay. It must be the text, and this must be the text because it's not only the number, it's having a lot of other component. And from debit, credit, and net, you can hold Control key, Shift, select till here because I want to select all these three columns. Now let me make this as a number, whole number, because I don't want any decimals. Now I did some transformation with respect to the columns. Now this query I will load back into my Excel. But I don't want to get into the table. Once you select the table, the entire data will again paste here. But I don't want this data. I want to store at the backend in the memory of Excel. Add this data into data model. I'll tell you the meaning of data model a little later. Let me just click OK. Now this entire data is there in the memory of the Excel at the back. It all loaded already. 12,246 rows are there. Wonderful. Now I want to analyze this cache. Instead of cache, you can put whatever you want, but for the time being, I've taken it as a cache. Now let's go to the sample GL. I've taken a sample GL. Now let me change the table name. This is as a table name as a sample GL. Right? You need not to even change this name, but if you take a name here, the same name will be the query name. You need not to change there. That's the reason. Now let's go to the data again. You can click this icon. Otherwise, you can go to the from other sources from table. Right? Now the data got loaded at the backend. I need not to do anything with this. Let this data be there in the memory of Excel. I am only creating as a connection and also adding this data into the memory of Excel as the data model. Friends, I did nothing in last 10 minutes except taking this data, storing in the memory, taking this data, storing in the memory. Now let me introduce you a powerful concept in the Excel. As I said, let's say bye-bye to VLOOKUP. Otherwise, you need to write a VLOOKUP function and it takes a lot of time. What I'll be doing, I just get data. Okay. Now, let's go here. Either you can double click this, you can go to the Power Query, or else you can go to get data and I can go to the combine queries. Okay. Now let me click merge. The very important part of the merge is it is doing 6 different types of merging. Generally, that is the way we work. Let's say, for example, this is source 1 and this is source 2. How many types of reconciliation you can do? available in source 1 but not available in source 2, available in source 2 but not available in source 1, and available in both only report I want, or else only available in source 1, or else only available in source 2, and so on. So 6 different types of lookups we can do. That is what exactly the meaning of merge. Now combine the queries. Already 2 queries are there. I want to combine these 2. Let me click merge. Now you got a pop-up. I want to take the debit here. I want to take the sample GL. Okay. Now let me take particulars here, because this is the column common. This is the one. So that these 2 columns will link at the back. And if you observe, already there is a data. The selection matches 981 of 12,246 rows. Out of 3,800 entries happened, 981 entries where cash is linked. We need to be very careful in this client data, because cash is more. That means there is a risk towards the cash related clauses in the tax audit are more. Now, if I just click OK, all these will come, but I don't want. So you, as I just now told, there are 6 different types of merging is possible. Do you want to get the entire data from the left table, that means this table? Or do you want to take the data from the right table, that means this table? Or do you want to take all the common items? I want to take inner, means whatever the matching from this table, whatever the matching from this table, please only take those items. If I just click OK, let us see what will happen. Excel is going to create one more query at the back end. See it all? It has created merge one. Let me change it as a GL sample GL. Okay, sample. Let me make it as a sample ledger statement. Okay, yeah, statement. The name is a little big, but it's okay. Or else I can simply keep it as a sample GL statement. Okay. Now this is entirely my data only belongs to cash. Now this last column you can remove, otherwise you can ignore, that is also fine. Now close and load, because I want this data. This data you can simply get it by putting a filter to the cache. Now I want to get into the table, into the new Excel worksheet. Let me click OK. You may be thinking, Sharon, even you got the same cache. You did not get any document out of this cache. I know. That means the entries for each and every cache item I did not get. I know that, but first I want to create a GL statement so that this is also can be useful for the analysis. So GL statement. Okay. So this is basically the ledger of the GL. You can simply go here and you can check it out. On the last day, there must be now 9,500 as per the balance sheet. As per the P&L. Balance sheet and TB, not P&L, I'm sorry. Okay, this is nothing but the simply filter. But the advantage of this, I'll tell you now. If I start taking the filters, this will keep on grow. Every time you need to filter it, copy it, paste here. Every time you need to filter, copy, paste. Now what I can simply do, I'll just take the freight. This, let me take the freight. Let me go to my sample, paste here. Now I'll go to the data. I'll refresh this data. Now entire backend transformation is happening, whatever I requested Excel to work on. Now if you go to GL, you got the freight related GL. Okay, you can start writing the comments wherever you want. Then you can change the name of this and you can paste it again and so on. So let's say, for example, if I want, maybe I want this bank account as well as one more ledger I want to take. Anything is fine. I'm finding so many swiping. Let me copy this. I want to see what is the swiping. Let me refresh all. So these many, it's just trying to retrieve the data. These many entries are there, transactions are there with respect to swiping. 405 transactions are there. Okay. So this is the part where you can filter it, but this is not the end. We'll do a lot of other analysis. Now what I'll do, I'll go to the back end again. So go to the queries. Now you can double click any of these queries so that you can go back into your Power Query. This is the magic box. You can do a lot of things. Now friends, this is a sample GL entire transactions. Now let me right click, click the reference. The meaning of the reference is there are two things, duplicate and reference. When you take the duplicate, the same copy, one more it will create. When I take the reference, when this data updates, this data also will update. That is the meaning of it. Now I want to take sample GL vouchers or else documents. Meaning I want to remove every column except the document column. Either you can select this, right click, remove all other columns, or you select all other columns, remove. Let me remove all other columns. Friends, this is the daybook I have taken. This is the sample GL I have taken. I extracted this at the backend. Now from this data, I removed everything except this document because I want to get all the entries. Now let me close and load to. I don't want the data. Let this data be there at the backend in the memory of Excel. Okay, now let me go and combine queries and let's do the merge again. I want to take a daybook. Now in the daybook, this is the document, is nothing but the transactions, unique transaction. I want to take the sample GL documents. This is the common thing. So from this and this common thing, 12,246, 810 are matching actually. So if I click OK, entire this table will come, but I don't want, I want only the matched items in this table and this table. So I can make it as an inner join. Inner join means matching in both the tables. If I just click OK, what happens? It will take me to the Power Query. Now, every item with respect to the cache, along with your the other entry also coming here. Okay, in this case, it's not a cache, it's a swiping. Okay, so let's go here. Let me close and load back. Friends, yeah, because you are finding the Power Query for the first time, maybe it looks like everything new, but my point of taking this is at least once I give the steps, later you can go and start practicing. Now you can go and start doing R&D. I'm sure after spending little time, you can understand more. So I'll explain again more. Okay, let's take only create as a connection. Let me click OK. So now with respect to each GL, I got the transactions also. Now this is the part where the analysis, I can go to the pivot table. Now already the workbooks data model is loaded. Now let me take this. Now this name, let me change it. This is what sample all docs. Right click, and I want to load this into my data model so that I can use the pivot table. Yeah, so I'm just going a little slow. Let's go to the pivot table. Since these all are part of the data model, Excel is asking, Sharon, since you're not selected any table, do you want me to consider the data model? Yes, let me click OK. Once I do this, you got your pivot table. I'll go a little slow. Now, all those transactions are there where it is in the sample documents. This is the sample document, and this is what sample all documents. Now let me take the net first of all. This must be 0 because if I take all the transaction, now let me take cache so that you can connect it to the data. Let me do Control C, Control V. If I just do the refresh, let me do the refresh. Now all entire cache ledger appeared here. Let it retry. What is happening now? Now this table is connected to this table. Wherever cache is there, it is extracting here. This is the cache. Now, wherever these document numbers are available here, that data is there in the query here. Okay, the net is -8, maybe little rounding of difference. Let's take the debit here. Let's take the credit here. So throughout the year, this is what the cash, debit and credit, okay, with respect to the entries. Now I want to take the date part. Let's take the date here. date by default coming into the number format. I want to take this to the date format. Let me select this column. Let's go here, convert this into the short date. Okay. Now, I want to take particulars. This is what a ledger actually. So let me take the particulars here. Let me take, I think voucher also is required for us. Let me take the type. So this everything is coming one below other. You may not find much analysis into this. Let's go to design. Now let me report layout show in the tabular format. Okay. So for each respect to the cash item, I got this. Okay. Now friends, now let me take subtotals for this. So I want to take even the document number. Now let me take the document number. I wanted to take the document number. Let me take after the date. Okay. This is what your document number. Now let me have the, just give me 1 second. So I think I'm trying to take the wrong. So I want to fill my entire, just give me 1 second. So all the document numbers must be there. So I want to take not based on the date, based on the document number. So this is what sample. Okay. So this is what a sample document. So this is debit and credit. This is the document. So the document has to repeat. Just give me 1 second. Let's go to all docs. Oops. I just want to see all docs. What is the merge I did? Yeah. I think this data is correct because it has captured 4477 and so on. Now let me close and load this data properly. Yeah, this is what 3396. So sample all docs. Sample all docs. I think it did not refresh. Let me refresh it again. So why this cache part is there in the particulars? Okay, let me just move it. What's that? So let me remove this. So you got the date wise, you got the voucher wise. Now let me take the particulars below the date, below the document. Yeah, this is correct. Now for the cache, I extracted all the vouchers. It's always good if we have the document filter. So let's have a subtotal for the document. Now let me have a good formatting for this. So let's have something like this. So this is entirely belongs to my transaction with respect to the cash. Okay. Now with this, the advantage is I can take, now let me just take a ledger sample GL transactions. Okay. If I go here, if I take any transaction, let's take this sample SBI OD, let me paste here. Now what it does, it will connect these two tables. It's going to create this ledger, and this ledger document number, it will take it. It will extract all those documents from this table and it's going to put here. Now if I just go and refresh this data, this everything appears there. Yep. Now if you go and check it out, see everything connected to your SBI OD account, whatever the item I have taken, either one or other like is an SBI OD. Now let me take some other ledger. You can now start looking into this. Now I want to take some X person. There is a person called, okay friends, this is only for the session purpose. Some names may be real. I did not fabricate the entire data. So let me take some, yeah, let's take the bank charges. I just want to take it. Just want to give the demo purpose. Okay, so these entire transactions are now relates to the bank transaction where one or other leg is connected to the bank transaction. Now it's okay. Now let us looking into this. Now let us look into the 40A3 related. So let us look into the 10,000 related thing. How we are going to work. How I do it basically. Let's go to the data. Let me refresh. Now you got the entire ledger of cash, but ledger of the cash may not be helpful to you. Yeah. Yeah, ledger of the cash may not be helpful to you because it's everywhere the cash. You are not finding the other leg. So what I'll do, I'll just go to the sample transaction. Now I'll ask Excel to follow all the labels. So if you want everything to be followed, the labels, so you can just go here, repeat the row labels. 1 second. Repeat all the labels. So I don't want any plus or minus buttons. Let this be with a very plain, yeah, maybe this can, you can connect this better. Now this must be into the short bit. Okay, now I want to take other than the cashier because let's take other than the cash because anyway for the cash related analysis I'm doing. Now let me filter for other than the cash and other than the blanks. Let's go here. Let me remove the blanks wherever the blanks are there. Let me remove for the time being the subtotals also. Okay, so let me filter other than the cash. These all are other than the cash. Now these all are other than the dates. What I'll be doing, I'll simply copy this. Now let's go here, paste special value. You can just take this into the short date format. Now let's take the individual ledger. Okay, so paste special values. This is a ledger account. So ledger account is basically, I believe, one person. Maybe if they are putting everything together into a very generic nature, we need to look into the vouchers. Now this is the individual ledger. Now I want to know for each ledger, okay, this is each ledger, right? Now I kept one after other. Now I want to remove the duplicates, or else for each one I want to get the all unique values out of this entire transaction. Now for third, this one. Now I want to know third, okay, this is a bank, this eliminates. Let's say there is some expenditure somewhere. Now there is some X person name is there. Then I'm going to use a function called Sumif function. Okay, for the time being, let us take Sumif's function. Now what I'll be doing, I will look into this column for what, sorry, first argument of the Sumif function, I want to see the total of the credits here. So let us look into the credits because it's a payment, comma. Now what is the criteria range one? I need to look into this for what? For this date, comma. I want to get for this date, comma. Again look into for this column, comma, for this value. So that on the same date, the total of, I'm sorry, the total of, the total of these two will appear. In fact, this is not considered because it's a bank. But when I copy and paste for each combination, it's going to give me in one day, one particular day, what is the total amount happened. If I enter, I got 0. 0 should not be the case. 3. 1 second. So it's a debit article, right? Let's take the debit. This is credit and this may be a debit transaction. Let me Control C, Control V. Now I'll just take this is E column. I've taken earlier F, now it is a E column. So I want to just take now let me first copy and paste this. Okay, now you can find there are so many amounts are there. Now this is GST sales. I don't know why cash is part of it. Now I can simply take this transaction. Yeah, we can do, sir.
And whatever is there, you can complete it and we can give a 2 to 3 minute break because it's a 3-hour session.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. So
Okay, sure.
this is giving us the each line item, what is the total of the amount. But when you look into 85, maybe in this journal entry, 85,000 may not be only belongs to cash. So with respect to the cash portion, now what I need to do, I need to go to this 85,000. I have to see why this cash is part of this. Now let me remove the filter. Now you can find it cash is only 1700. Okay, this is the way we need to go one after other with respect to this. Anyway, post break, sir, we can go for break. Post break, considering this data, so looking into the balance sheet item and P&L item and 369 STSS and class by class, we can go. Sir, you can give 2 to 3 minutes break, sir.
6:30 we'll resume back.
Please, sir.
Yeah, I'll just take over the screen and flash it on the screen. I'll just take the rights and give it back to you. Sure. So 6:30 we'll resume back. Sharon, you can also take a break.
Sure, sir.
2 minutes. All these videos and the materials link will be emailed to everybody, and as well as we'll be putting it in the website of our SIRC. The links have already been shared. You can store it and you can save it for your future reference. Sharan, you can let us know once you are back.
I'm back, sir.
Yeah, Sharan, just give me a moment. I'll give you the rights back to you. Yes, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah, friends, it seems I found a couple of comments which are saying I went a little faster with respect to Power Query, but I think my voice is audible, sir.
Yes, audible,
Yeah.
audible.
Is it audible even now?
Yes, yes, very much.
Great. So it seems I'm finding a comment that I'm going a little faster with Power Query. Power Query is a tool I'm just trying to introduce you because the topic is more of introducing the tools to use the tax audit. It takes little time to digest, I know, because some of the concepts you need to understand. Anyway, I'm going to touch upon one or two concepts again. So let me share the screen because I'm just trying to get, once the data is ready for the analysis, then remaining things all are just simple for us. So, okay, so this is the data. Since the data is not much of having a lot of things with respect to the classes, but we can just look into this. Now, friends, what I can simply do in this case, for each and every item, I want to have a unique values. Now, let me remove this. I can explain in a better way. Because on the same day, maybe 10 transactions can happen, right? For a particular ledger. What I can do, I want to get the unique transactions out of it. What is the tool in Excel we have to get the unique transactions? We have a beautiful tool called Advanced Filter. What this Advanced Filter does, it can get all the unique values from your data. Now, let me take a date. Let me take ledger. Otherwise, you can even remove the duplicates. That is also fine. But I'm just trying to prefer here. Now you can just select this data. Now you can go to the data tab, go to the advanced filter. Now I want to copy the result into the separate location. So copy to another location where I want to paste the data. I want to paste my data here. I don't want to give any criteria. Just select unique records so that out of this entire data, only unique values will appear because maybe on the same day, 3 times the payment might have happened to the same ledger as with respect to the expenditure. So unique records only. Let me just click OK. So these all are the unique transactions happened on the same day. See, total my transactions are 2110, but if you check it out here, it is just 1967. Now, how to get the debit and credit values here? It is based on the data. In my data, I may not find serious red flags or anything, but I'm just trying to give you the process. Till here, I'm sure everyone got it. From this data, I've taken unique values. Now, for each unique values, let me identify. Now, let's go to the debit. I want to get the total as on this date for this ledger account equal to sum ifs. Why I'm using sum ifs function? Because I'm having more than one condition here, right? So the first argument of the sum ifs function is a sum range. Now let me go into the sample data because this is the data relating to this. So let's go to the sample data. Now I want to total the values which are in the debit, comma, let it be debit. So second argument is criteria range 1. I want to look into this column, comma, for what? For this date. So what Excel does, Excel total the values in E column E by looking into A column A for this value. And also one more value it has to see, comma, because it is per person. So look into, now I'm going back into this column for one more, that is the ledger name, close bracket. Now this will give you the total happened, whatever the total amount of cash on these two combinations. If I enter, you got some value. Now let me just copy and paste. Now, same formula, in fact, there is no change, but anyway, it will be a good revision if I just do it. Sum ifs Sum range this time is a credit. Let's go here and take the credit. This is the credit, comma. I need to look into the date column, comma, for the date, comma. Then I want to get this value also. So look into the particulars, comma, for this ledger account, close bracket, enter. Copy and paste below. So you can just put the filter here. And you can also put the filter here. It is even good if you can filter the payments itself separately, then work on it. But this is a normal formula through which you can get it. In this data, I did not find any anomalies because these all are relating to bank mostly. So let me unfilter the bank related. Okay, now you can find many tracks. See, everything is below 10,000 for the each unique person for that particular day. Okay, so it is less than 10,000. So it's fine. So in this case, anyway, no transactions are there. This is a simple method through which we can follow. So let me just give a very quick recap. What I have taken the GL. Out of these GLs, I have taken all the transactions which are belongs to the cash, from which I have taken the unique combination of the person name, that's nothing but a ledger, and the date. Wherever these two combination amount total is more than 10,000, then I'm trying to filter it out and we'll do the analysis. But bank is exception to that because it's more of the contra in the nature, and whatever other exceptions with respect to 6DD, I'm not going into that. But this is a method through which we can go. Now, if I want to do some analysis with respect to, now let us go into this part. Now let us see, is there anything relates to the fixed assets? Now, fixed asset related entries, if I want to get, first I need to have the grouping here. To get the grouping from here, there are many ways. You can connect your Excel to the ODBC. I think yesterday Vijay might have touched upon a concept of getting the ledger related information into the ODBC. But if you get the information, there are so many columns, you'll find it. Instead, there is one more way, directly along with the grouping, I can get the cash flow. That is nothing but you can download the trial balance. Now let's go here. Sorry, let's go to tally data. I've already downloaded the trial balance for you. Now I can simply take all these things. I can have one more column here. Let me have one more column. Now I can see what is the balance sheet item and what is the P&L item and so on. So you can just simply do a VLOOKUP function from here to the main data, so that for each ledger, whether it is a balance sheet or P&L, you can get it. With respect to the 269 related, you can go and have a glance. Now let's have a very quick recap of the provisions in terms of 269. The same thing I'll be doing for the ledger filters for the unique values. It is 269 ST is basically you should not receive more than 2 lakh rupees in cash, either in aggregate from a person in a day or a single transaction in respect of transactions relating to one or event or occasion from a person. So in aggregate from a person in a single day, it's already covered here, because when we do a filters in this way, where is my file? 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, this is the file. So it's already covered here, because for a single person, aggregate in a day is covered. Single transaction is not covered. So what I need to do for any single transaction, if any multiple items are there, then I need to put the same type of filter. Then I need to write the VLOOKUP function. Then in respect of transactions relating to one event or occasion, we may not know with the Excel, because this we need to understand. When there is a payment, the payment is relating to what? Maybe the payment might have paid in 10 different days, every day, maybe 20,000. Maybe the payment might have paid over the period of entire year, every day some 1,000 rupees. Then it becomes 3 lakh rupees. So in this case, I doubt there is a formula you can write. But in this case, a single transaction, you can simply find it. And in aggregate from a person in a day, this also we already seen. So the same methodology we can find it. So you can take the same cash ledger and you can start looking into it. Now, let's look into this one. No person shall receive an amount of 2 lakhs. I think the same slides got repeated. Yeah. This is SS and ST. The same again 20,000 rupees. Now I have taken the cash, right? I can filter for other leg where the loan, deposit or advance is there. So if you can look up the balance sheet item, then I can see with respect to the balance sheet, first let us filter all more than 20,000, irrespective of whether it is a balance sheet or not. So everything I can simply make a filter here greater than or equal to 20,000. Now you got all these things. Now you can make a VLOOKUP. If you look here, everything is blank, so it's fine. Maybe if you find something relates to any other advance related, any payment or maybe received, then you need to give one more filter for the credit. In this case, anyway, it's nothing is there. When you give a filter here, if you find anything, maybe this is like a payment, then we can check it out whether that is falling into this. You can have an extract of this. For everything, the methodology is exactly the same. Have an advanced filter, then you extract the unique values of your transactions, then put the filter. Now, let us look into this part. Then I think this is more or less covered. The methodology we have used, payment about 10,000 in the cash cannot be made in the cash for any expenditure. We already covered 10,000, increase it to 35,000. So whatever the filter you take out of this, then check it out. Are those ledgers or belongs to any of the goods carriage, leasing or hiring or plying? If you incur the expenditure with respect to the same, then you can exclude the same. Then we can look into the exceptions. But these two things we can eliminate only if we can filter this. Okay, so it's more of the filter methodology. Now let's go into this class by class, whatever I have done here. Okay, so these all you can get it covered. But friends, there is two things you need to report. Each repayment of loan, in fact, that is there everywhere for 269 ST as well as 269 T. For each repayment of amount exceeding the limit of 269 ST, by check or bank draft, you need to put a list of all those items. You need to report it. Also, not by check or through bank draft. Okay, so this is also we need to report. That means account, if it is not account payee check or if it is not account payee draft. So this is not relating to Excel, because if you don't put the information into your ERP, either in Tally or whatever the ERP you are using, then we need to take all the checks related information and whatever the receipts or payments, we can look into the same. Either that is for 269 ST or 269 T, both are same if it is more than 20,000 rupees. Okay, so now let us look into the little documentation side. And one more tip I would like to give for this session. While we read this form, you can find so many sections. When we are trying to work on, maybe myself or my staff or anyone, suddenly I want to know what is 44. Okay, this 44A is very simple. Some section related information I want to get it. So what we can simply do, I'm just trying to go here. I'm just clearing my custom list. For you, I just kept one index of income tax related. You can just take this entire data and we have a custom list at the back end. Now what I can simply do, I can just select this data. Let's go to the home tab, file tab. I can go to the options. I can just go to the options. Let's go to advanced. Now I can go to the custom list. Let's go to edit custom list. As of now, there are no custom lists in my Excel. Now you can import this entire sections into your Excel. The advantage of this is when any section, for example, I want to look, instead of myself going into the act, opening any document or maybe taking any ready reference, I can take this section name and I can simply drag it. This entire section name will appear. Now what I'll be doing, I'm just trying to import. Now let's take rows, because instead of each column appear as a transaction, I want each row must appear as a list here. So I've taken row. So once I click OK, at the back end, it's going to take 898 line items. Once I click OK, it's OK. So that means it is just trying to say if any items which are non-printable characters, then I may not take it, that's fine. So all my index of income tax been updated. Now let me just click OK. Now let me just click OK. Now, for example, let me delete this itself. Now I want to just know what is section 292C. Okay, when I drag this, you will get exactly what it is. If I, for example, I want to know 294A, I can simply drag this, I can get this information. Okay, that is one thing through which you can get it. I'm just explaining again. Whoever missed the steps, you can have a look. Let me first delete my custom list, for which I recorded a small macro so that once I click this, my custom list will be cleared. Now let's go to the options. Now, oops, now let me just do Control Z. Okay, now let's go to the options, file. Let's go to options. I'm just going into the advanced. Now let me come down, edit custom list. Now I want to take the data from here till the end. Now you can just import this data, and I want to import as each row in the selected area. Now, once I click OK, every row will appear as a list. But when I take it as a column, each individual column will appear as a list. Let me take it as a rows. Let me click OK. So let me click OK. So this is the way you can store the entire data of the income tax. This will be handy while you are doing any analysis with respect to the classes. Okay. And as I said, the fixed asset register, if you have, and we can do all the capital related, as I said, the books versus this, these all are more of filters again. Okay, so for each and everything, I can just make a comment as a remark here, whether if it is there, if it is available, then what are the list of the items. And instead this, you can even make a nice Google form so that you can put entire information there. As I said, let's say, for example, for part A, this information generally may not change every time for a client, except there is really something, a GST number he might have applied again, may be a different number and so on. So if this is the case, I can make a simple Google form at the backend. So we can ask our staff to update so that that will be there in the cloud. Every time when I want to get the information, I can simply get this information back into my Excel. Okay, so let me connect a small, one more trick which I would like to cover with respect to the Google form. Yeah, friends, there are a couple of things even with respect to the TDS. So again, I'm just trying to look into the TDS related. Now I think we have the debug. Now let's put the filter relating to the TDS related. Are there any ledgers in this data which I have taken? So there is no TDS related. So if you have something relating to the TDS, then probably out of the ledger list, you can simply have the transaction. Now I can simply have the Sumif function, or else you can take the trial balance directly. Since I'm already having a trial balance, you can put the filter for professional fees or whatever the list of the items which comes under the professional fee. Once you have a glance of all these ledgers, then I'll get to know whether it's a professional fee or maybe any of the contract related and so on. Just besides that, you can have a section number, then you can get the day-wise information or maybe throughout the year how much amount you paid based on the limits, whether the TDS has been paid or not. Whatever the case it is, for which we need to have this entire daybook, and from the daybook, the data will flow into the filters. Once I have the filter, then I can make a comment. In this case, there are no TDS related samples I found, so nothing relates to the TDS, it's more of the GST. So tax, yeah, there is something advanced tax paid and professional tax. I'm not finding anything relating to tax deducted or tax collected. So again, if it is TDS or TCS, since there are a couple of clauses which mention about reporting, whether they deducted, if they deduct or are not paid within the due date, then we need to comment it. That is more of documents than the Excel related stuff. So only for the TDS, just for the filtering and checking out whether a proper TDS has been deducted with a specified rate or not is in our hands. Other than that, whether he paid or not, generally they don't key the information into the ERP. We need to look into the documentation. Now, I'm just trying to take you one more small thing. Let me just go back to my tools. Yeah. So let's look into this one. Then I'll go into the Google link. Fuzzy lookup, you can connect maybe with respect to the ledger accounts or else maybe the narrations. In case the narration you want to identify with the related items, you can just go into this. This is a very simple concept. Now I'll just take this one small example so that you can connect it. I'll take you to the Power Query again in this case. For example, if I have some of the vendor names, just to avoid whether the cash transaction is exceeding or maybe a specific vendor, the 2 lakh rupees to escape the class of 2 lakh rupees for these 269 classes, maybe he is using 2 different ledger accounts so that will not be part of our analysis. So for example, there is a vendor, there is a amount you can take it, and vendor name is let's say Saran space Kumar, and there are so many vendors. Now I can say our chairman, dynamic chairmans are DC Jain sir. Then I can take one more name, Agarwal, and so on. You can take n number of items. I can take one more name. I can take Vishnu, right? So I can simply have some amounts here. I can simply have maybe some lakhs. That's fine. So I have other vendors also here. Now, when I try to do a VLOOKUP to this to here, every value will come because everything is exactly matching. But when it comes to, let's say, this is not Kumar, Saran, Kumar, this is Kumar and Saran. This is Kumar and Saran. When it is Kumar and Saran, when you are trying to write a VLOOKUP function, because this value is not in this table, you will not get it. It's not available. So that will get escape from, that means you will have one more unique value here while doing the filter. When it is one more unique value, we don't consider that because that transaction is different, this transaction is different. So to avoid those type of situations, just to identify how to have a proper lookup, even in these cases, maybe this is also, there is an extra R is there because in the tally people keep it in different ways. Now there is extra R is there. Now this is the one. Now it's not available and not available. Now in this case, what I'm going to do, now I want to just take this data again into my Power Query. Why I'm touching so much of Power Query? Because you can do a lot of wonders using the Power Query without touching the formulas. In fact, even if you observe, except the Sumif function, I did not touch any formula. Now let me take this data at the backend. I don't want to do anything. Let me simply come out. So close and load this data back. Now add this into data model, only create as a connection. I'm not doing anything. I just taken this data and stored in the memory of Excel. Now let me take this data also. Let's go to the data. Now let me take this data. Let us take this into the memory. And I don't want to do anything. Let me close and load to. Now only create as a connection. Let's click OK. Now this table name is table number 4. This is table number 5. The same ledgers are here. Here this is data set 1 for us. Now this is renaming this query will remove. Okay, no problem. It is just saying if any dependent queries are there that will have an impact. This is data set 2. Okay, now if we do a VLOOKUP function, we found a problem. Now let us go and have a look here. I'll simply go to the data. I'll go to my get data. I'll go to my merge query. In fact, today I've given you how to merge the queries. Now I want to take 2 tables. Let me take the first table data set 1. Let me take the second table data set 2. Take the vendor name which is common. But even this is saying that only 2 items are matched. That means that is DC Jain and Vishnu Vardhan. But when I click OK, so only those 2 values will come out. What I want, are you finding here, use fuzzy matching to perform? When I click this, other options will get enabled. Now let me just click this. Now you can put a threshold, how much similarity you are going to have. So if I put 1, that means 100% similarity I want to have. That means until 100% matches, I don't want to get that information. Maybe if you put 0.9, that means 90%. When I put 90%, when Excel, see, when you put 90%, immediately you found the selection matches 4 of 4 rows. And let me come down and show you a couple of other features. It's going to ignore the case sensitive. So whether uppercase or lowercase, it least bother. And also it combines the parts, as I just now told you, Kumar, Saran or Saran Kumar, it will consider the same. Then let me come down. So it is okay. But when you found there are so many times again and again, instead of myself to keep the information at the back end, you can store it as a table and you can ask Excel to look into the table. It's like a machine learning. At the back end, you are keeping something. Every time your Excel look into that table, and based on that, it's going to match. As of now, I don't want anything. Let me click OK. Now, let me remove this table. I don't want this table. Now I can, oops, yeah, when I want to expand this table. Now let me just expand this table. Now you can find only one column is there, that's a vendor. Now just click, check it out. All 4 got matched with this. So once you close and load, you don't have any problem. Everything got matched. So I can simply paste my data here. This is one way through which you can work on. Now let me tell you, this is my data set 1 related information. This is my data set 2 related information. Now let me just go here. Let's put only Saran. I'm sure now, because it's not 50%, so you will not find any information with respect to the Saran Kumar, because it is just the Saran. This is Kumar Saran is completely different. Now let me go to the data. Let me refresh this data. So this is like a VLOOKUP. When I refresh, all the tables are refreshing. I should ideally refresh only this table. I forget. Check it out. This Saran now it's not identifying because I said only 90%. Maybe if you say 50% or anything, it can even consider this. But this is based on generally in the GST or 2A versus our books. We use this where invoice number maybe with an extra space or extra character in between also can lead a problem in the VLOOKUP function. In those cases, this is best suited. Even in our cases in the tax audit, when they want to create same vouchers maybe with a different names for the same person, if that is the case, you can identify whether the person is exactly same or not. So you can relate one table to the other table so that all other values will come one after other. Now let me check. You can just take a small change. The last one I can simply put. Even the spelling you can keep it here. Still it will consider the same. I can simply right click this query and I can refresh this query. Check it out. Still it considered because I said 90%. This is one thing I'm sure it helps in every audit, especially when there is a problem with respect to the names. Okay. And one more thing which I want to cover when we are working with our staff with respect to the Google form. Now let me take one Google form just as a sample. Let me just take it's okay, not very much confidential information. I just want to go to the Google Drive. Is there any text one? In this case, there is no text data. I just want to show you something. Just please bear with me for 2 minutes. There's a test data, so I can just, oops, I just taken the same thing, not this one. Let me take one more image. So this is something, how can we track the information from Google Drive to our, okay, this is what the test spreadsheet. Okay, so this you can find it in our website, excelism/test. Even you can put the information. My only point of taking this is, as I told you, right, when there are something where which is very common, if I want to feed into the system every time when I want to get the information here, or else when I'm trying to do the analysis class by class, or else when I'm trying to do anything with respect to the commenting part of each filters after done with the daybook. So if the staff can fit into fill the information into the Google Drive. Now let me take this part. I can simply go here, test. You need not to every time go here, because though Google is having every feature what Excel is having, but I cannot do a lot of analysis here. So I can simply go here. Now, if I put some information, let's say I can put A, I can put B, and I can put some C. Once I submit, you can find that information here immediately, A, B, C. But this information I want to get back into my Excel. I can just take one more Excel file here. Now I can just go back to my data. So as I told you, it's more of the Power Query. You can even connect any data. I don't know in the bank audit whether, sorry, in the tax audit, whether we get any information from the web or not. But including Google Drive, because Google Drive information is a cloud related information, I can just click the web and I can connect that. In this case, what is the link of the web? It's very simple. You can just click here. This is what your link, copy the link. It got copied. I can go back to my Excel, just go here. I can get from the web, so that whenever staff are keying the information, now three things you need to change it. Edit, you can, because I'm exporting this data. So you can change edit as an export, and you can change USP as format. I want to change into the format of XLSX. So once you click OK, it will connect to the online. It is trying to retry the information what is there in the Google spreadsheet. So all those responses you can find here. You can just load your data into your Excel. So the data will come. I just did only 3 steps. The only important part out of this is whenever you have 3 items. Now let me just simply paste this. This is what the Google form link. So wherever edit is there, I just changed it as a export. Wherever USP is there, I have just changed it as a format. Wherever sharing is there, I just changed it as a Excel. Sorry, XLSX. Yeah, sharing is as dot X. Dot is already there. So XLSX. So once you are done with this, then it will try to identify and import your information. So anything relating to client information or relating to our day-to-day work and so on. Now let's go back and try to fit some information. Now I'll just simply put one more information into the same form, so that you can see whether it is properly coming into your Excel or not. Now let me take the SIRC of ICAI. Then I can put Chennai. Then I can put India. Now let's put submit. Once you click submit, let's come back to our Excel. This is what my data. I can simply come data, date. Then you can just refresh this query. So that data will appear. Are you finding here? So very simple. So it makes our work simple even when they are making observations with respect to the books of accounts. So instead they need to keep on doing something into an Excel file and so on. I can make some 8 standard items through which they need to comment. So in the Google form, you have an option. You can just simply look into that. Also in the Google form, you have an option even to drop down. Once I click the drop down, now let's quickly go here. This is what the Google form. You have a drop down option. You can put all those clauses through which they need to comment. So they can select the comment, they can write whatever the comment, and all those comments you can get here. Even if you put a client as one of the columns, you can filter based on the clients. At the time of taking the audit or filling the 3CB, 3CD, I think our job is very simple, just copying and pasting the information. Because it's more of filling the information there, because if you look into this Excel from class number 32, from here, everything is more of filling the information. Okay, whether you filed that report, whether audit happened or not, as per the Cost Audit, Central Excise Act, Finance Act, and so on. More of the analysis part is this. But the people who are into the regular small MSME practice, I doubt other related clauses are available. But one more important point, if you observe here, there is some of the place where they were talking about the non-resident. So how can you know whether out of the ledger account, a particular employee ledger is a non-resident ledger or not? Or else maybe out of a customer, one of the customer is a non-resident or not. So we need to, if the entire data is filled information, that is good. If not, we need to look into the documentation again. Okay, so these all are important things I feel which we can use into our regular audit. So majority of the thing which I thought of covering is extracting the daybook. Once you extract the daybook, if you get the data properly with the narration and everything, my job is very simple. Getting into the filters, you can put anything here that get filtered here. So all these related transactions I can get here. Now you can do the analysis whatever the way you want. Once you get this information, now you can take date wise and the person wise, or else unique date wise based on the classes. We can have the function like Sumif function. I'm just keeping this here. You can have a function like Sumif and you can put the filters based on whether it's a 10,000 or whatever the 2 lakh or 20,000 and so on. So one more thing which I have covered is advanced filter to get the unique list. So if you want to get the unique list, you just take go to the advanced filter, select this entire data, click the unique records, only those values will appear. So that per day, per transaction, you can find it. So, sir, we can open for question and answer with respect to tool, if they need to get any information or anything.
There are very two general queries only. I will just read that. Somebody wanted to know how much time will it take to be well versed in the techniques used. Pardon?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, sir?
Yeah. A member wants to know how much time will it take to be well versed with the techniques used by you.
It will not take much time, sir, but they need to practice. Obviously, if they listen the class and they go, it will not happen because I feel if the daybook is not available, we cannot do any other thing. In the Tally, earlier we used to have audit option where they used to give all those related information. Now, I doubt in the Tally, everything is coming, whatever there in the 3CD. So it will not take much time, but they just need to understand the concept. Today, I have not written a single formula for their information. Everything is just clickable, but it's only the part. Yeah.
And as you rightly said, it is practice actually that will kind of, make you get things done.
Yes, sir. In fact, today I have chosen Power Queries separately because this is going to change the entire life cycle of Excel. And it is giving a lot of power to the Excel and a lot of analysis part, because we are going to handle very soon with the different sources of data. May not be the data from one source. If that is the case, some data is there in the GST return, some data is there in some other text file, some data is there in the Tally. To get the information into Excel and doing the analysis is almost like impossible. The tools like Power Query, rescue us in those cases.
The next query is whether all the process would be the same in all versions of Excel.
Absolutely same. As I told you, Power Query is only available from 2010 version. In 2010 and 2013 version, it is available as an add-in. From 2016 version, it is part of our native Excel.
Okay, so one more member wants to know, can we import sales ledgers from Tally to Excel automatically using macro?
No, sir. Macro anyway will not work. It's more of TDL. They need to search for the right TDL. They can just go into the shopping. So they can, because through the ODBC, we can get the masters. But if they want to get the entire ledger account, it's only the option we have export. Very few TDLs are there which are working for the daybook related. But a specific ledger, they can get it by using the export option. But through VBA, I doubt it's possible.
That's all the queries, Sharan. You can continue.
Sir, we will close a little early because I think most whatever I thought I covered what needs to be done in terms of transactions.
Okay, then I think we can ask members to put their questions.
Yeah.
Wait, I'll just read it for you. Can you explain again how to link Google Form with Excel? If you can explain again.
Okay, so it's very simple. We can take any Google form, you can edit it. Okay, we can in fact create our own form with our staff name or the information what they need to key in, and it will ask the question. They'll find the responses here once they create a form. It's a very simple drag and drop, and we can just click this button. So I want to view this Google form in the spreadsheet. So they'll find a spreadsheet like this. When someone key the information into the Google form, that data will come here. Till here, I'm sure most of the members know it. But my point is going into the Google Drive is again a separate task when we are into Excel. So how can I get this entire information into my Excel? In fact, I do have a lot of Google Forms for my other trainings and so on. When people put the information, I can just browse into my Excel. So for which what they need to do, it's very simple steps. They can go into the spreadsheet. They can just click the share. This is the share where they can share to any specific user, or this is the link, get link. They have to make sure that this link must have an editor option. Even they can keep it as a viewer option, but at the time of keeping in the Google, in our Excel, the link, Excel is going to ask the login ID and password of this Google form. So that's the reason it's always good if you take editor. That means your Excel is one of the editor. I can simply copy this, just done. Now I can, I'll just cover it, sir. Now I can just come back here. I can go to my get data from other sources. I can go to the web. I can simply paste this information. Now, instead of edit, couple of small changes, because I was into the same Google form, it was edit. Now I'm exporting this. So it's an export. So in which format? The format must equal to .xlsx. That is the way you can remember all these three things. Earlier it was edit because I was in the Google form, it is for the edit, but I don't want to edit, it is for the export purpose. The format is .xlsx. Now let me click OK. Now you will find the table in your Power Query. Now let me select the table. Now you can just click transform data. Once you click the transform data, you'll find all those values here. Don't do anything. Simply refresh. It's going to refresh the data. No problem. Just close and load back to your table. I want to get this data to my Excel. So you'll get this information. It's as simple as it. If I go back to my Google form, if I put it, okay, let me take any information. Let's take again Varun Jain. I'm just trying to take some information. Let's take Delhi and India. And when I just submit this, leave about your Google spreadsheet, just come back to your Excel, just refresh. I'm sure that information will appear here. Straight out. Even this is the place. If you want to refresh, you can just refresh even this. That will also appear here. Okay, that is one part. I found one question, I think, about the Benford law and relative size factor. Relative size factor is a small concept just to know the outlier. When you have a huge information, you can look into the same. Relative size factor is basically a difference between the top row. For example, I have a bunch of amounts. Now let me take the amounts. Let's say maybe the expenditure related amount. Generally, this we use for the same set of transactions. We cannot use for whatever the transactions we want. Copy and paste. So just want to identify the nature of the business or anything. Now what we do, let's say this is a sales. I can simply have the top value. That is, how can you get the top value? I can have similar actions. Yeah, I can have the large function. This will give me the, let me have first largest. So let me keep comma 1. I can get the top value. You can have second top value, second largest value. You can put 2. You can find the difference between this and this. If the difference is very huge, okay, maybe you can have a difference between this, and this difference you can just put and compare with your highest amount. If the difference is too much, that means there are outliers into your data, and we need to seriously look into the same. For example, one of the class, probably I can relate this to the tax audit. There is a class with respect to the capital. So I can take capital receipts, whether being part of your P&L or not. So when it is capital expenditure, I'm sorry. When it is capital expenditure, if something debited into the P&L, I can take all the expenditures. Generally, the capital expenditure is something, one transaction with a huge number. So I can just take all those expenditures. I can put a this relative size factor. Then I can put a percentage. Then at least it will tell you, is there any huge amount? Anyway, if you do a normal sampling size of transaction, generally we take top 10 values or top 5 values. There also you can find it. But when you find there is a lot of difference or a lot of percentage difference with respect to the first largest and second largest, that is an indication for us that there are outliers into the data. Okay, that is a relative size factor. It's a very small concept, not very big, but which is very much helpful to identify the outliers.
Yeah, in fact, this will help you identify whether you should go for a closer scrutiny of those ledgers. Actually,
Sorry, sir. Sorry,
so
sir.
we can know to drill down further to give more weightage on specific ledgers where the difference is more.
In this case,
Yeah, no, relative size is the moment the variation
yes.
is more, we'll have to be kind of careful to see why the transaction has come.
Yeah, that is
Relative
what
size
I'm saying, sir. For this can be applied for all the ledgers as a whole sum or individual ledgers also.
Correct, correct.
We can take all the transactions of an individual ledger, we can apply this. That means in an individual ledger, why there is a difference or maybe there is an outlier. You are correct, sir.
Yeah, Sharan, you gave me you gave an example where you were able to get the information from Google Forms. Is it possible to have 5 sheets and every sheet will pull one data from one Google Form?
Yes, possible. Yes,
Same,
possible.
same.
Oh, you want me to create one more sheet here?
No,
Okay,
just
in the
want to know
Google
because I haven't
spreadsheet,
tried
if the
this.
file,
Okay.
sir, in the Google spreadsheet, if 5 sheets are there, is it your question?
Yes, yes.
Now let's take this information. Okay, this is SIRC, ICAI. This is it will okay. Now let's take the same data since it's already there with me. But let me copy this again. Let me copy this link. I can go to my Google form. I can just go here. Now let's go to the data. You will find both the tables there. That I'm 100% sure. Whatever the table you want, you can get it. But if you want all the tables also, that's possible. So let's take a basic. Now let's, as I said, let's take this as an export. Let's take this as a format. Let's take this as a XLSX. Now I can just click OK. Okay. Now see, you found two things here. Sheet 2 is trying to preview and sheet 1. If you want both, you can take both. Okay. You can just click transform. Now you'll find at the back end 2 tables. Okay, sheet 2 and this is the one. If I want these two also to be kept into my query at the back end, you can simply close and load. That sheet 2 also will appear here.
Okay.
Now even if you have 100 sheets, all 100 sheets data also will appear. Now if I go back here and do a change, maybe here I enter one more information, a session on tools. If I come back, if I just refresh this, that will come here. Yeah.
Is it
Sir,
possible to pull a particular column from the particular form?
You can, that is possible. See, basically how this Power Query work, it takes the entire data. You can transform. For example, I don't want, yeah, I got your point. I don't want city. It's very simple. I can go to this query. Now let me edit this query. I can just go to the query and I can edit it. Now I can, I don't want the city. Now let me delete this. Or else I want to just have this as a date. This is the place where you can do whatever the transformation you want. Or else these both has to be merged together. I can simply right click and I can merge the columns. Okay, I can have maybe the hyphen is the one or a semicolon. So let's click OK. It got merged. Now everything appeared here. Now you can just close and load. That will come here. That means next time onwards, whenever the Google form data is maybe in a different way. Now, let me demonstrate this. Now, let me take one more here. If I take Raja, if I take Hyderabad, maybe if I take, let's take New Jersey. then this is USA. If I submit, though there are 3 fields, but since I did the transformation here, so Raja semicolon US only will appear because remaining entire part will happen at the back end. So let me just right click and refresh. You can find one more column here. Check it out. Because that is what the meaning of the entire Power Query set. It does the entire transformation at the back end. Whatever the methodology we need to adopt, we just need to be clear on the paper. Then we'll put the entire methodology there in the Power Query. Every time when we refresh, the entire transformation will happen and final result will appear.
Okay. See, Arun Kumar Sundaram wants to know, please confirm my understanding on Power Query here is to pick samples for analysis based on the parameters specific to 3CD.
Specific to 3CD, first, see, I'm going to just put in the paper here on the Excel. See here, I have used the Power Query can be used everywhere, wherever analysis part is there. In this case, in fact, I have taken my entire cleaning up activity. Sir, can I quickly cover this cleaning up activity in the Power Query than Excel? So
Yes,
that,
yes, please do,
yeah,
please do.
they can understand the advantage of the Power Query is because this is the same format every client, whoever having the daybook is having. Yes, if that is the case, let me open this daybook. Well, it is the same daybook. I think I created a backup. Let's have a daybook here. I think raw data I just stored. Yeah, this is the raw data, sir. Now I'll just open it. Now let me copy this raw data. The purpose of the Power Query, why I'm stretching today more, you can understand now. Let me save this data on the desktop. It's a client daybook. Now let me close this. Let me save this, close it. Let me save it. Okay. You can just let me save this file as a Google form link. Sir, I just opened a blank Excel. Now, when I get a client daybook here, without doing here the transformation, I can even do into my Power Query. I can go to the data. I can go to get the data from an Excel file. Let me pick up that Excel file. That Excel file is there on the desktop as a client daybook. Let me double click this. This daybook I can find at the back end. If you see here, sheet 1, you can find the daybook here entirely. But I need to do a lot of transformation. No problem, I can do it. Now let me transform this data. Earlier I did the transformation into my Excel. Now I am doing the transformation into my Power Query. This is more advantageous. In fact, last time I did not cover because here a couple of other techniques we need to know. So the advantage if you do the transformation here is later if I change this file, another client file I kept here. Since the transformation stored at the back end, entire steps will happen and for every client it will happen. Okay, now let me do the transformation very quickly. I am just trying to remove except null and date. I want to remove all other things. Now let's go to the load. Let's come here. Now I want to filter the equals to dates. Yeah, you can just have it equal to. Or else you can just remove the null values. Just select here, remove. Are you finding here? Remove the blank rows. So all blank rows are getting removed. The advantage of the Power Query is you can, all the steps are getting recorded at the backend. I've taken the source data, I've taken the navigation. So I promoted the headings, then I changed the data types, I removed the blank rows. Now these columns are not required to me from here till here. Okay. So let me right click and remove. Next time when Excel is staying for other client file also, Excel does all these steps. Now let me select the null values here or else other than null. Let me select this other than null. Let me also select this other than null. Okay, so this information is not required. So a lot of transformation step because it's more of we need to learn a couple of small transformations here because it's not the same filters like how Excel happens because on the top, if you observe, there is a M formula which is happening. Okay, probably this I can take it later. But my point is, if you do the transformation, this is also possible. But here you need to do a lot of stuff. Lot of stuff means you need to do a lot of transformation steps. Now, if you do all those steps, next time when I change this file with other client file, this entirely will happen automatically. That's the meaning of the Power Query. The advantage of the Power Query is this is one. The second one is if I have more than one table, I can merge the tables. Merging the table is nothing but looking up, connecting one table to the other table, either using a VLOOKUP in the left table or using a VLOOKUP in the right table are common items between these two. We have 6 types of merges. All those things will happen. That is another way. There are many advantages of Power Query. Now let me just discard this. In our case, because doing a transformation at the backend will take a lot of time. Sir, with your permission, though it's not little relating to tax audit, but relating to the bank audit. In the bank audit, we made one file. Yeah. I can just take an example here. Sir, in this case, this is my CCDP file having 638 items. Now what we did, we have not done in the Excel. We did the entire transformation into the Power Query. Now at the down, if you see 1000 items are there. If I refresh this, now check it out. It is going back. Once I refresh, what is happening? It is going back, looking into this folder, looking for the CCDP text file. It is picking up that file and it is doing all the transformation. Now you got 638 because this text file is having last item is 638. Now let's say this is for X branch. Now I want to do the same analysis for the other branch. Now this file, I'll just change it as a CCDP 10. That means your file is not here. When I go back and refresh, it is going to say that it's error because it's not finding the file. Now what I'll do, this file I'll change it as a CCDP. Now let me open this file. How many items are there in this file? 1000 items are there. Just because I changed the name of this file as a CCDP, now it will look into that file. It will do all the transformation steps. Now this data will update with the second file. Now if I have 100 clients, my job is very simple. I'll just keep the file. I'll copy this data, paste outside. And again, I'll put the second client data. I'll refresh, I'll copy the data, I'll paste outside. As simple as it. This is the place. Now, if you look into the why I'm not going much deeper into the Power Query, because a lot of transformation steps you need to do. So see, to do the CCDP file, these many transformations we have done. Of course, this everything is filtering. First, what I did, I've taken a source, then I filtered the source. Let me refresh this. Okay, I filtered the source, then I added the index, lot of transformation I did. Finally, I reached to this step. Okay, this is giving me the entire information. I load it. That means next time when I change the file, Excel does all these 25 steps and the final result is going to display into my Excel. Even in our case, the daybook also exactly we can do the same. Anyway, probably I can take a proper daybook file. We can probably post somewhere into the SIRC and maybe along with this file tomorrow also I can update the Google Drive.
Yes, Sharan, you can do that.
Sir, that is possible, sir. Probably
yeah, possible. The same link can be updated. You can give it to us. Give it to me later.
Yeah, the problem with the Excel sessions are all the time getting the information, client information. Since we have done a lot of abbreviation, the essence of the main points got missed. Though I posted a couple of entries today with respect to loans and other things, but somehow it got messed up.
Okay.
So I'll take this information, but this is the pure essence. So next time onwards, if you keep on the desktop the same CCDP file, you can put a daybook and Excel will go back. It takes this daybook It does the entire transformation. It even does these all steps, whatever we have done today's session. It can even take the samples and everything, it will paste over there. And we can take it into next level. Even you can keep a client name, you can keep a ledger with the client name, with that file, that information will be there. So that is the power of the Power Query.
So this is like running a macro, Saran, correct?
But yes, correct, sir. But macro is more of coding, sir. But Power Query is more of clickable buttons. We just need to understand the language of the Power Query. That's all.
Correct, correct.
Yeah, we call it as a field cup. There, the concept is emerging and so on.
Yeah, can I go ahead with questions, sure?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Arun Kumar Sundaram wants to know the use of Power Query here as a connector means we are using it as catch only. CACHE.
Sorry, sir. Sir, can you repeat the question again?
It says the use of Power Query here as a connector means we are using it as a catch only. CACHE.
Cache. Okay, his meaning is cache. Yeah. That's true, sir. His point is correct. Basically, what it does when I get the information, it will just give a connection. It will not even store into the cache memory. It will just connect it. When I ask my Power Query to load back into my Excel, then it will take time to load the entire information. Till the point that is just a hierarchy, it will create a connection from that source file to the Excel.
Okay.
Yeah.
And CA Muthukumar wants to know which version of Microsoft Office supports the Excel options being explained.
Sir, this is there since 2010 version, as I already mentioned, but Power Query may not be directly available in 2010. That is, they can get it as an add-on. They can simply look into the Google, download Power Query. They'll find this from the download Power Query add-in. They can find from the Microsoft website. It's a very simple. They can just go here. They already mentioned here, this is for 2010 and 2013. For them, they need to download. They just need to select the language. And once they download, they'll get this as an add-in. This is there since 2010.
Okay. Next is by CAV Raghavendran. When the tally data changes, how to refresh the daybook as told?
Sir, that is not possible, sir, because daybook in this case, in today's example, I have taken the daybook which is exported manually. So if that is the case, they need to use the TDL. But regarding the daybook, very few TDLs are there in the market which are very costly. That's what, as per my information.
CS Srinivas wants to know how to get PDF into Excel. Many banks only give PDF account statement with password.
Great, great. Good that you asked that question, sir. Since again the data is little, I'll take one PDF file, sir, which is very common in the public. Just give me 1 second. I'll just take one PDF file. Sir, now Excel Power Query introduced with a beautiful source that is also PDF. Earlier PDF was not part of Excel. Now are you finding here when I go to the get data from file from PDF? So this PDF recently, very recently, just 2 months back, they introduced. You can just get the PDF, whatever the source it is. Now the source is tax audit using tools. I can take the list of branches. Sir, this is recently the Canara Bank empanelment. They have given as a PDF file having hundreds of pages. Very difficult to find the right branch, and that too, this is not into the state wise because it got scattered. So in this case, how to convert is what I'm explaining. I've taken the PDF file. If the PDF is properly structured into the tabular format, it can So I'm just making their thought process open with today's session. Nothing more, nothing less. At least now they can go back and understand how powerful the tools we have in Excel for our day-to-day work. Let this load. What it is doing, out of my entire PDF document, it is trying to load everything. I can simply right-click and I can load or I can transform. I can do anything. If you want a specific table, even you can do for a specific table. I can select all the tables also at a time. and you have an option called, now I can just go to the transform. These all tables will be loaded at the backend. Since the table headings are same, since if you observe, every table is having the same heading, same columns, I can append the table here. Simply, I can just go here and I can remove all these columns not required. These all are my tables. If you see bottom, there is information. I can expand this table. Now let me click OK. This entire data I can close and load back into my Excel. Since the data is used, it's trying to load.
Okay, meantime, I'll ask one more question. A member has asked, CS Sudhakaran KV.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, close. I think you can finish this, then I'll ask the question.
Yeah, this is over, sir. Now you can just filter the unnecessary data and so on. Now this is the proper data got filled. If you check it out exactly, even the rows and everything got taken. Now next time this PDF got updated. Let's say if this is something which every time having in the same format, you just come here and refresh, your data also will update. This is one of the beautiful example for the bank statements, sir. First month, if I can do the transformation, if my bank statement, because bank statement is almost the times in the same format. If it is in the same format, every month, instead of myself doing the transformation, I can simply do the transformation once for 1 month. Next month onwards, I'll just change the name, I'll refresh. The second bank statement, it will take it will transform everything.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, you can go ahead with the question.
What about those PDF which is password protected? Can I give once and it will work?
No. For the password protected, every time it will ask for the password.
No, that's what. If you give the password, it will start working, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Next query is formula in daybook Excel to get net balance. That is after debit and credit column. Please repeat. Also, how it becomes net balance of each ledger.
So, if I'm not wrong, his question is more of I have taken one more column for the debug. So, 1 second, sir. Yeah, I think this is the file. Sir, I have taken the net balance here. Yeah, this is the debit. I've used a simple function, debit minus credit, so that debits will come positive. If credit is there, debit is not there, credits will come negative. So debit minus credit becomes me everything into one simple column. Sir, is it the only question? And
I could not understand the question because what he's trying to ask.
Sir, can I see the question, sir?
Yeah, sure. I will take the rights and show it to you. Or you just open Q&A and see time 1923.
Sir, is it in the Q&A or chat?
Q&A. Check one query by Sudhakaran KV at 1923.
Okay.
And one more query has come, sir, whether
the formula in daybook Excel to get the net balance credit column, please repeat also how it becomes the net balance of each ledger. It's not net balance of each ledger, so obvious because it's a net balance of each line item. Correct. See, when I take the net balance of each ledger, for example, if you take the sample data here, this net balance continues, the same formula continues. Okay, that is his question.
And the last one, whether the scanned hard copies in PDF format also will work.
No, sir. OCR facility is not available.
Correct, because it is an image and images cannot be processed actually.
Yes. Sir, can I take one more example? I already did that. I'll just tell them how it works in our tax audit, especially in case when they are dealing with the ESOPs. Can I take one example?
Yeah, please do.
I've already done that. I'll just show them how it works. I'm just trying to tell them the power of Power Query. So normally what I do, sir, for the power to get the exchange related information, I'll go to, I'll go to the XC website. I'm sure everyone does the same because even we do a lot of ESOPs related entries where they might have vested the shares in 1990. If you find a Microsoft employee as a client from 1990, you might have vested many a times. So 120, 130 dates are there. For every date, we need to take the information. That means the currency rate. It is very difficult for us. And also it is customers to customer. Sometimes that may be into USD, that may be into INR, that may be sometimes into Euro. Okay, if that is the case, this is something which we built entirely in the Power Query for our office purpose. What it happens, I just need to input my input currency and output currency. And I need to tell to the Excel for what dates I need to get the currency. Now I'll take simply starting from 1st July or else 25th July. Let me restrict myself 25th July 2020 till, okay, 7th, till today. Sir, I've taken this information. Now XC website, it will fetch these all URLs and let me refresh this data. Then you'll get to know how exactly it's working. Now what Excel is doing, Excel is going back into the website. It is trying to look into every URL of this and it is extracting the specific information for which we linked and it is pasting here. But a backend browser will not open, nothing will happen. Everything will happen at the backend calculation engine of the Power Query. It's doing little time because it's more of computer, internet related data. Only first time it takes time, second time onwards it will see. Sir, have you got the information here?
Yes.
So
yes.
as on today, now if I go and check it out, maybe here, if I just go to my browser and simply put, I'm just trying to show you how powerful the things through which we can make our work easy. Now I went here, sir. I went to USD versus INR. Check it out, 74.94. Sorry, exactly it is 74.9480. Now when I make this simply Euro, now let me refresh. I've taken here for 27th, right? So 29th, this information ideally must be 88.203. Check it out. Okay, this entirely again built in the Power Query. See, this is what a simple transformation we did at the backend. This is the output table. If you see, these all are the steps we followed. These all are the simple steps. It went into the URL. In the URL, whatever the required information I have gathered, I invoked a small function. I expanded this table. Whenever this URL changes, for each URL, the transformation will happen. Finally, it got loaded. Sir, if we can audit the books of accounts of bigger company, learning these things will be much more simpler, sir.
Correct.
These all only we need to put the time. Chartered accountants are generally genius because we read a lot of books.
Correct.
So these all are simple, but we don't concentrate. That's the only thing.
As Vijay was telling, you have an aeroplane, you cannot, drive the aeroplane.
We are using like a cycle. That's what he always tell.
Yeah, you have to, make it fly to get the best out of it.
Yeah. A GSTR, can GSTR 3B PDF file be imported into Excel using Power Query? Absolutely, yes. You can, because GSTR 3B data is also into the tabular format. Is there any book or reference online course, or these days everything is YouTube? You just go to YouTube. There are beautiful speakers kept a lot of information into the YouTube. You can just subscribe them. So when I am combining two data sets, does it allow many to many relation? No, actually, yes, sir. If you are trying to look up, yes, you are correct, sir. When you are trying to use a merge concept, because even earlier also it does happen, right? So you are taking one data where more than one information is there, other table where the same value is repeating, then obviously it's a many to many. That's possible through the merging. You are correct, sir. Can actions to be taken be listed out like a root card for each item of 3CB? I think we already answered that. In forensic, isn't it? Sir, I'm just reading it and I'm just going ahead.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, in forensic, is it not more relevant to max, mean, average in consideration to know the range and medium? Yes, in the forensic, statistical methodologies are important. Of course, we look into the outliers so that we can see exactly what is the reason. To know the range and medium, okay. Formula in daybook Excel to get net balance, okay. I think there is one question which I
Last
missed. It
question,
seems
whether
someone asked
idea
about
and
idea
Excel are
software.
same.
Sir?
One last question, can Excel be used to perform all similar actions that are done using data analytics tool like IDEA software? What is your opinion?
Sir, in my opinion, if probably you asked this question 2 years or 3 years back, probably my answer is no. Now, idea, whatever the idea is having, almost the things we can do in Excel, but you need to do lot of transformation steps, sir. Okay, but any new idea having its own uniqueness. In idea, it is just a clickable button to do the Benford law. But in my Excel, I need to write a formula of log 10, 1 divided by digit plus 10. That's the only difference. So if we have time, if we have passion to work with Excel, almost everything what idea is having, we can do it.
Correct, as you said, it is just the number of steps and the time which you have to spend once.
Exactly, sir.
Idea is a
In
ready-made
fact,
tool
idea
where-
software came because Excel is having a lot of limitations.
Limitations.
Software always invent because something lacking from the old software.
Correct. Right, Sharan, thank you so much. Excellent presentation, nice coverage. Probably a lot of new things our viewers would have learned. And now it is time for them to implement. So from Excel, I think you have to go to Power Query and beyond so that you're able to explore things and do the audit effectively and faster.
Yeah, DC sir. Today, very intentionally, I have taken more into the Power Query because I want at least now people has to hear this word and they have to take it forward and they have to at least start browsing every day. What is this Power Query and so on. So that's the reason that I'm concentrating more towards the other technicalities of tax audit, more of daybook related and other things I have covered.
Yeah, that is the reason when we chose on the topic, Sharon told very clearly, sir, we'll say tax audit using technologies, tools, not just Excel. So you have proved that, there are other tools available where we can do things effectively. So thank you so much, Sharon. And maybe for the Excel session, which you are planning ahead, we'll kind of pull you again.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah, Abhishek, over to you for a well-deserved vote of thanks. We have had a great session of, covering A to Z of, doing things through the technology. Abhishek, unmute yourself, please.
Thank you so much, Sharan. Very wonderful session. As always, you have turned up the heat when required and kept the members entertained. And I'm sure Chairman also would have complimented. As you're all aware, he is also a technology expert and his Excel book is so well received. I'm very happy. I always keep referring it back to that. So Sharan covered not only Excel, but other aspects as well. So thank you so much, Sharan, for spending that much time and, and enlightening our members with your insights. I also like to thank our chairman, C. Dungarchan Jain, who is leading from the front and doing great things for us. So I'm enjoying working together with him, and it's a real pleasure, sharing it with our members. And as always, we request you to do share your feedback. We are always listening. We want to become better. We want to do more programs for the members for the benefit of all. So do share your feedback, whatever honest feedback. We are happy to receive it and work on the same. So everybody stay home, stay safe. Thank you very much for joining us today and take care.
Thank you. You can make the announcements of the future programs also.
Oh, yes. Just a second. Let me open that.
Yeah. And I've just sent the link for the feedback. Kindly give your feedback so that we get to know and we'll pass on it to the speaker also.
So as you're all aware, we have, I've already announced most of the programs so you're familiar with regarding the GST program we're having on 10th and 11th of August. That's on GST audit, GSTR 9 and GSTR 9C. And then on 22nd of August, we have Kapil Goel, who's taking a session on how to draft replies and pleadings. But these two programs I may not have announced, so I'm sharing it. On 14th of this month, we have organized a program for peer review. As you're all aware, peer review is a compliance regarding the institute where question has been raised who will audit the auditor. So peer review is a manner or a mechanism where we audit our fellow professionals. So there is a procedure in place for that. There's a way you empanel yourself. So entire peer review, how to empanel yourself with a peer review board, how to conduct a peer review audit
That is one important program. We are planning to have that on 14th of August. On 15th of August, on Independence Day as well, we are planning a free program, CPE program, where we will be inviting eminent personality or a past president of our institute. We are trying to get in the best people for that. So that we are planning on 15th of August on Independence Day. We are also planning a program on code of ethics and for auditing and assurance standards. So these are very, very important for us, as you're all aware. There's also mandatory compliance. We are inviting past president CAK Raghu. The date also will be announcing shortly. So with this brief announcements, I welcome you all to please join us for all of our future programs. And thank you very much for joining us today.
Tomorrow is that statutory audit checklists program in the evening, which people can join.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, that's tomorrow, 8th. Yeah.
So request all please join for our program tomorrow as well on checklist audit for statutory audits.
Statutory audits 2019-20 with the demonstration of detailed audit checklist.
Audit checklist, yes. Yes. By CA Shri Priya will be done tomorrow. So request you all to please do join tomorrow as well if you are free, and all our future programs as well. So thank you all for joining us.
Thank you all of you. Thank you.